Hey, hipsters. What's up? It's Blake. Been a while, back again. But this time we're doing something a little bit different. We're doing Budget Brewsdays. Bringing back the Tuesday Brewsday series. I'm going to try doing this live to see how you guys like it. I love building budget decks, so I'm pretty stoked to try the series out. And kind of the premise of this series is that I'm mostly going in blind building these decks. I usually do a little bit of research ahead of time just to look and see if there's some enough to make me interested in the commander or the build, and then I kind of leave it from there. And we're going to kind of brew a deck together. And I'm going to show you some cool tools that might help you build a deck. And yeah, we're going to try to knock this out and try to keep it a really cheap, nice budget of $25. Keep it really budget friendly. And kind of my premise also for that is that, quick qualifiers for why we're kind of doing this series. One, I kind of get tired of people just running staples all the time, the same old cards that you see all the time. So we're going to try to, look around and do a little digging, and hopefully I can show you some tools that will help you do that sort of research. But this is not typically how I build decks in the aggregate. I usually am on a much longer time scale. I kind of make a list of 130-ish cards, and I kind of slowly weed out cards, and then I'll kind of compare, cards that I can find locally at the shop or in my collection of cards that, can kind of substitute for certain roles that I'm willing to fill in with a deck. So long story short, I'm going to try to make this as applicable to you and try to give you as many lessons as I can with the way that you can build decks with the tools that I offer you here. And I try to keep these tools really simple. These are tools that I use even when I build decks. So yeah, we're going to try to keep it simple. And then lastly, it wouldn't be a brews day without a brew. Today I'm drinking a Lagunitas IPA. Hopefully, you're having a good time with me and you're having some drinks. So cheers, and let's get started. All right. Today we're building around a Boros commander for the new set, Outlaws of Thunder Junction. This is Ertha Joe Frontier Mentor. She's 2 red-white for a 2/4 core advisor. And when she enters the battlefield, you get a 1/1 red mercenary creature token with tap. Target creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. And the most important thing is that she says whenever you activate an ability that targets a creature or a player, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. So this is a much more narrow ability than it sounds. It has to be activated abilities. It has to target a creature or a player. And then you get to copy that ability. So there's a lot of, sort of hoops to jump through here. But she does kind of spot you a mercenary to give you something to work with, but that's obviously not going to get us there. So let's see what we can do. So I kind of have 3 major things that I'm going to use today. I'm working with Moxfield to hold, the deck list and help us kind of keep an eye on our budget. I have EDH Rec to kind of give us a jumping off point for what sort of cards the, aggregate and the average decks are building and what sort of ideas that they have. And then I have Scryfall to help me look up cards and, help me use some cool tricks that I'll show you here shortly. So first off, I've got, my deck list kind of imported, or my deck already set up, just, Ertha Joe here. And then we're going to start filling in some cards here. So the first thing I like to do is I like to go to EDH Rec, and I just like to get an idea of what people do. Like I said, I've done a little bit of research just to get an idea of the kind of things that people are interested in. And it seems like the most hard up thing that we're going to be looking for on a budget is win conditions. Win conditions are going to be a little tough. There's definitely some things that we can get going that are value based and such, but I'm going to try to keep every card sort of under $1. That way we can make the $25 deck as achievable as possible. But with this deck, I have a feeling that I might have to get a couple cards that might be over $1. So let's kind of take a look at what we're doing. We're seeing obviously a lot of activated abilities, usually, especially with most commanders and especially new commanders. You'll typically see a lot of cards from the same set because, people will just open their packs and try to build cards with the packs that they open. And especially if it's a pre-con commander, you'll see a lot of the same pre-con cards, especially from that pre-con set. So whenever you see like a newer card, you want to kind of take it with a grain of salt and kind of look at it. It's like, for example, Form of Posse. Like this is in 78% of decks, but it's just kind of okay. It lets you create a bunch of those mercenary tokens. So I'm going to grab it for now. Whenever you hit this little plus sign, it adds these to your clipboard, and then you can export them directly to Moxfield or from the clipboard if you already have a deck list put together. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this for now, and I'm going to start grabbing a bunch of stuff as we kind of go along that's interesting, especially if it's within budget. So let's kind of look at some other stuff. Yes Man and Humble Defector, these are ones that really caught my eye when I was glancing through. Both of these basically allow you to draw 2 cards twice if your commander's out, because what they do is they tap, they draw you 2 cards, and then you target a player to give it to. So since you're targeting a player, even though the actual draw itself is not targeting anybody, the fact that you're targeting another player is what's actually going to allow that ability to duplicate, which is really sweet. And then the rest of the effect about them, going to your opponents and stuff, that's kind of a bummer, but hopefully you can, drum up some interest and curry some good favor and hopefully get them back. Since tap abilities are naturally the ones that are repeatable that we're going to want are going to be on creatures, I'm going to grab some haste enablers probably in this deck. For now, I'm going to grab this Hellspur Posse Boss. It gives other outlaws you control haste, which I'm not sure how many outlaws we're going to end up with, but we'll grab it for now. And it also spots you 2 of those mercenaries that we were talking about for 4 mana. It's not terrible. Bovine Intervention. This is going to be a really nice removal spell on a budget for us. It allows you to destroy an artifact or enchantment and gives the opponent just a random 2/2 ox that doesn't really matter. At instant speed for 2 mana, that's a really nice rate. When I was kind of glancing at some of the win conditions, I noticed like Brash Taunter, this can definitely add up to be a win condition. This allows you, this one has an activated ability to help enable making it fight other creatures, and then you can deal out a lot of damage since that you're going to get that effect doubled. Ortharian, this one's a little out of budget at $2, but this one I might have to splash for because it seems really nice. The long and the short is 4 mana, 3/3, 2 and tap. You can create a token that's a copy of another creature you control against haste, and you sack at the end step. But if you pay 9 and tap it, you get 5 tokens that are copies of that thing. So if you ever get to do that and you get 10 copies of something, I can't imagine whatever you make, you're probably just going to win with, I would assume. So this card is also a very interesting card to me. So another thing that kind of this Brash Taunter made me think of is pingers. A lot of creatures tap to deal 1 damage to a creature or a player. And in isolation, those don't add up to be a lot. But with our commander doubling them, maybe we can get a bunch of those and maybe a few damage amplifiers if we can find some within budget. So that's definitely one way that we could do it is with the burn. That's definitely something I'm interested in. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this Brash Taunter and this Ortharian for now. Intrepid Hero, it's a 3 mana 1/1 that taps to destroy a creature with power 4 or greater. This one might not end up making the cut. It's just a pretty bad rate and kind of slow, but it is within budget, so I'll grab it for now. I'm not sure if Zerda is what we want to be doing. It makes your activated abilities 2 less, which is kind of nice, but I'm not sure we're going to be doing a lot of mana sink sort of activated abilities, but it does spot you with sort of an activated ability on its own about making creatures unable to block. But once again, if we're more of a burn / pingers deck, that may not be too relevant either, but I'm going to grab it for now anyway as well, see where we end up. Lorn of the Third Path, this one's not really going to make the cut, but we might be able to find some good substitutions, and we'll look at that here shortly. Jaxus, this one's a pretty great value engine and good effect. So the activated ability is 1 red mana, tap and discard a card. Create a token that's a copy of another target creature you control. So since this is an activated ability and it targets a creature, it's going to double this ability. The token gains haste and dies at the end of the turn, and it draws you a card. And then Jaxus herself has Blitz, so she can give herself Blitz in a pinch. But this is definitely one that you're going to want to have to play out and hopefully give it haste with another way. So Jaxus seems like a really good value engine for us, and also a pretty big threat for sure. Mother of Ruins, this is one that seems really sweet for this deck, being able to tap Mom to protect herself and the thing you actually want to protect with your commander out. Most likely this is going to be what you want to protect, since a lot of our doubling effects when they're in isolation aren't as impactful. But I think Mom, we can probably find a substitute. We'll look into that. Captivating Crew, this one seems great. 4 mana, you can gain control of target creature and opponent controls until on a turn untap it gains haste. Once you start duplicating that ability, that seems like a really nice win condition. 4 mana as well for the creature itself for a 4/3. That one definitely is almost certainly going to make the cut. All right, now we're down to the top cards. 1,000 Year Elixir, this one's a little bit too out of budget. This one would be nice, though. Like I said earlier, haste enabler would be really great. But we can find, I think we can find some haste enablers that are 3 mana or less. So I think this one's pretty replaceable. Swords to Plowshares, Path to Exile, obviously really classic removal spells. Swords at being $1, I don't really want to stretch my removal to be that much. White has lots of good removal. So I'm probably not going to grab swords. I may not even end up with Path, to be honest, because we might, if we end up with the pinger side of the deck, then we probably don't need a lot of creature removal. So maybe we can just get away with like some, bovine intervention sort of cards. So we'll see about Path as well. Mage Right Stone, another untapper, probably not something we really need. Chaos Wand seems like an okay value engine. I'll grab it for now. It's 3 mana and it's 4 and tap. Target opponent, so you're targeting a player. Exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery card, and then you can cast it and copy it. So if you get to, this is an ability that obviously copies with your commander because it targets an opponent, or a player that is. So getting 2 spells off of this seems like a pretty good value engine. It not being a creature, and I'm guessing that we're probably going to be a pretty creature heavy deck. This will be a little bit more resilient to board wipes and be a pretty nice value engine for us, I think. Kiki Jiki, obviously an insane card. I try not to put it into my casual decks. And this is definitely going to be a casual deck, even if it was in budget, but it's obviously not. Giver Runes, we already talked about Mother of Runes. We'll want some of this effect, but not for this price. Realmbreaker, the Invasion Tree. This one seems really nice. 3 mana for a legendary artifact. You can tap 2 and tap it. Target player mills 3 cards. So once again, you're targeting a player. And then you put a land from their graveyard on the battlefield tapped, and if that land leaves, it gets exiled. That seems awesome. This seems like a really good ramp source for us that's really consistent. And if your opponents are not playing on the same axis as you, playing a budget deck, maybe you can grab some pretty disgusting lands from them. And it has another ability where you can pay 10 and tap and sack it to go get some Praetors out of your deck. There might be one Praetor that we might end up with, but for the most part, that ability is irrelevant. This first mode of the ability is really nice, and that's all we need. Mishra's Bauble. This does have an activated ability, and it does target a player, but once again, it's kind of out of budget. I'm gonna grab it for now. This is definitely a card that you'd want to like sort of keep in hand and then play it on the turn you play your commander, and then you have sort of a 0 mana draw 2, which is obviously disgusting. So this one's interesting, but it's kind of close on the budget. So this one may not make the cut, especially since we're probably going to splash for a few cards that are over $1. So let's move down here into the creatures section. Fury Stoke Giant. This is another one that really caught my eye. This one might be one that we might have to splash the budget for a little bit. It's a 5 mana 3/3. When it comes into play, other creatures you control gain tap. This creature deals 2 damage to target creature or player until end of turn. And then this creature itself has persist. So if it dies, it comes back. That ability seems disgusting to copy. If you have any sort of board at all, you can just burn people out of just nowhere. So Fury Stoke Giant's almost certainly one that we're going to want to splash for. Spike Shot Goblin. This one's interesting. I don't know if we're going to end up with the deck with this, but I'm going to grab it for now. It's a 3 mana 1/2, and you can pay a red and tap the Goblin, and it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Since it only starts as a 1/2, that's not very impactful, especially for a 3 mana pinger. But if you have any sort of way to augment its power, which I'm not sure if we're going to end up, I doubt we are, then this seems like a nice include. What else? Hanged Executioner. This one definitely catches my eye. This one's a nice, cheap interaction sort of creature. It's 3 mana for a 1/1 flyer, and it spots you another 1/1 spirit. And you can pay 4 mana to exile the Executioner to exile target creature. And since you're targeting a creature, it'll double, obviously. So this one seems pretty nice. I like the kind of, even though it's a little mana intensive, I like what's going on here. So I'm definitely going to grab that. Jaya, this one seems a bit too mana intensive for what we're wanting to do, so I'm probably not going to include that one, but I see why people like it. Bloodlust Incinerator, this is a haste enabler. It's a 1 mana 1, and you can tap target creature gains haste until end of turn. I'm not sure how much I want my enablers to be on creatures. Like I said, we are already going to be a little creature heavy, I'm guessing. That way we can have some consistency. But I'm going to grab it for now because most of the other sort of effects like this have a lot of, you have to kind of sack the creature to give another creature haste or, do that sort of thing. So I'm going to grab it for now. It's kind of a unique effect. A Dark Art Valkyrie. This one's a pretty powerful value engine. It's a 6 mana 4/5 flying vigilant angel, and you can tap it, and then whenever a creature dies, whenever that creature dies this turn, it returns to the battlefield under your control. It can be your opponent's creatures, it can be your creatures, and especially when you duplicate that effect, that's pretty powerful. I'm not sure if this is actually $1. I'm going to snag it for now. It's kind of close, but it's a pretty powerful value engine. Seems like a good top end for us, so we might grab that. Bounty Agent, this one seems nice for us. It's once again interaction on a creature, which is really nice. It's a 2-mana 2/2 with Vigilance, and you can tap and sack it to destroy a target legendary permanent that's an artifact, creature, or enchantment. So it snipes people's commanders. It might snipe, whatever else people got going on. This ability is a little more narrow than it reads, but you need to kill commanders and stuff from time to time. So being able to duplicate that seems worthwhile. And we'll want some creatures so that way we can use this Fury Stoke Giant. And there's another one that we'll get to eventually. Soulbright Flamekin. I'm not sure how much I like this one. It's a 2-mana 2/1. You can pay 2. Target creature gains trample until end of turn. Once again, I'm not sure how much we're going to be attacking, so that's not that relevant. But if it's the third time this ability is resolved this turn, you add, I believe that's 8 red. Yes, 8 red. So if you activate it 3 times, then with your commander out, it'll be only 2 times because it'll double, and then the second one will resolve. So realistically, you could pay 4 mana to have 8 mana when your commander's out, or 6 mana to have 8 mana when your commander's not out. It just seems like it's a bit clunky. It's like I said, it's only good really when your commander's out. Just going from 6 to 8 is not, especially when it's all red mana. It's a little bit harder to use. We're going to be a bit more on the red heavy side, I'm guessing, if we're going to be more of a burn deck, but I'm not sure where this one lands for me. I'll grab it for now. We might cut it later. Obviously, some very expensive cards here. We'll skip them. Oh, I forgot to mention earlier, but most of the time when you come up here to your commander, they have some filters up here that have like budget restrictions on them, where you can go for cheaper or more expensive budgets, or filter the sort of decks archetypes that people are doing in the themes. But Ertha Joe is like so unbuilt. It has 46 decks total, that they don't have anything to offer you. So we're going kind of in blind. This one's a bit hard. We picked a hard commander with a narrow ability, and there's not a lot of information to go off of, but it'll be a good jumping off point, I think, to kind of show off some of the tools that can be useful to us. Anyway, back to where we were. Giant Killer. I really like the idea of this one. It's a 1 white mana 1/2, and you can pay 2 and tap it to tap target creature. I think in general, these sort of master decoy creatures, these creatures that can tap other creatures, are kind of underrated in Commander. A lot of times you can almost fog a whole combat by just tapping one creature. But also, this also has a really nice removal spell on it. It's 3 mana for an instant adventure. You destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. So that kind of does what we were looking at with our Intrepid hero. We only get it as a one-off effect, but we get it right now. We don't have to wait on the creature itself to tap on our 3 mana 1/1. And then also we can like pseudo remove any creature later by tapping them with this ability, and we get to tap 2 things, which is really nice. So I really like Giant Killer. It seems like a really good include for this deck. Endbringer, this one is like, I don't know about this one. I'm going to grab it for now. It might be a little hard for us to cast and use its abilities effectively. This creature seems like it'd be really good, but I think colorless mana might be a little harder to come by than it seems. It's 5 and a colorless mana, so you have to pay a colorless mana to cast it. It's a 5/5 Eldrazi. It untaps during each other player's untap step. You can tap it to ping any target, which, that's like I've said, that might be a route that we're going here. You can pay 1 colorless mana and tap it. Target creature can't attack or block this turn, or the ability that we would really want, which is colorless, and tap to draw a card. I think we're going to be pretty hard up for colorless mana, and I don't think a 6 mana pinger, especially only for 1 damage, is going to be enough for us. I'm going to grab it for now anyway, but I'm not really thrilled on the idea of this card. I don't think our $25 mana base is going to be able to support these colorless pips while actually trying to cast our red and white spells, as crazy as that might sound. But I can probably show you more of why I think that, and why by the time we come to the end of this. More expensive cards, we'll skip those. Cinder Pyromancer, this one kind of falls into the category of the cards I was expecting to play. It's a 3 mana 0/1, and it taps to deal 1 damage to target player. And whenever you play a red spell, it untaps. So this can add up to be a reasonable amount of damage within a turn cycle. So with any sort of damage doubler or damage amplifier, this can definitely chip in for a lot. So I'm definitely grabbing that for now. Angelic Sellsword. I'm pretty sure this one's actually under $1. I'm not really sure why it shows here that it's not. Let me just try adding it here real quick. Angelic Sellsword. Yeah, it's only 44 cents. Not really sure why EDH Rec showing it at above $1. But anyway, I'm definitely going to grab that one. Angelic Sellsword seems like a nice sort of value engine / pretty decent threat. It's a 5-mana 4/4 Angel Mercenary with Flying and Vigilance. Whenever it or another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you get one of those mercenaries like our commander gives us. And whenever it attacks, if its power is 6 or greater, draw a card, which with the mercenary that it makes itself or the mercenary that our commander makes, it's really easy to basically always ensure this has 6 power. So it gives us some consistent card draw and definitely a decent threat that can chunk in for some damage and help us really make these pingers add up to be, a threat. So definitely want that one. Chandra's Magmut, Goblin Fireslinger. These seem like definitely what we're looking for. The 2-mana 2/2 that pings a player, or 1-mana 1/1 that pings a player. These definitely seem like what we're looking for the reasons I've stated so far. Welcoming Vampire. This seems really excellent with our deck. Basically, all the creatures we have grabbed so far fall under Welcoming Vampire's, sort of stipulation, which is a 3-mana 2/3 flyer. And whenever one or more other creatures with power 2 or less enter the battlefield under your control, you draw a card once a turn, which, is just great. Welcoming Vampire is just a good card. It's within budget, so we definitely want to try to fit that into our deck. Cunning Spark Mage. This is a 3-mana 0/1 with haste that can ping a creature or a player. I'm going to grab it for now. It seems a little low impact, but seems like it's within our realm of what we're looking for. And definitely, even though sometimes we might run some like not super bomby cards, just for consistency's sake, it seems like we might want a critical mass of this sort of effect if that's what we're really leaning into. Circara the Bold. It's a 5-mana 3/3. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that deals damage to a player, you exile the top card of your library. You can play that this turn, and you can tap it to ping somebody for 1. I don't think this is where we're going to be. We're not actually casting instants and sorceries that are going to deal damage to players, I don't think, because we really want a lot of activated abilities to make our commander's ability worthwhile. So even though this can spot you some pings, a 5-mana pinger, it's not really where we want to be. Like we see, we can get 1 and 2-mana pingers pretty reliably, and there's plenty of 3-mana pingers to go around, which we'll definitely see some more here in a little bit. So yeah, I don't think this one's gonna make the cut. Brian Stout Arm. This one I'm definitely interested in. It's a 4-mana 4/4 with lifelink, and you can pay a red and tap and sack another creature. And then Brian's Stat Arm deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to target player. That seems really great with some of the mercenaries that we might have floating around. We can pump up a creature, use it to ping, then throw it, and then gain a bunch of life from the lifelink from Brian's Stat Arm. Definitely seems like you can throw around some chunks, even though we have, small creatures for the most part. Magda the Horde Master. This is another one I'm going to check the price of real quick, because 180 seems a bit high. Yeah, this is only like 60 cents. Okay, I guess EDH Rec's just not really updating the correct price on a lot of these new cards. Anyway, Magda the Horde Master seems great for us. Whenever you commit a crime, create a tapped treasure token. This ability only triggers once each turn. It's a 2-mana 2/2, so it gets down real early. And you can sacrifice 3 treasures to make a 4/4 Scorpion Dragon token with flying and haste. Both of that you can only do as a sorcery. This seems great. All of our pingers enable this. Whenever we ping a player, it's going to trigger this. And this ability to make treasures you can do on each turn. So you can kind of split up your pingers between, your turn, your next 3 opponents' turns, and end up with a ton of treasures. Even though they're tapped, we can turn them into 4/4s or cast more pingers or whatever. So Magda seems excellent for this sort of pinger plan that we're going for. Same thing with Tai Joaquin, the Perfect Shot. It's another new card. It's a red and a white for a 2/3 human mercenary. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to a creature equal to that creature's toughness, you draw a card, which, for the most part will probably be pinging players, but there's definitely some pingers that might chip away at some mana dorks or some utility creatures and then, get us some card advantage. So that's really nice. And especially since they're doing it in 1 damage increments, usually multiple times, it'll, basically always ensure that we're hitting the exact amount. And then more importantly, the ability that I really like is X tap. If a source you control would deal non-combat damage to a permanent or a player this turn, it deals that much damage plus X instead. So even though this is an activated ability, it doesn't actually target a creature or a player. So this ability is not going to get doubled. But more importantly, this is a damage amplifier. So say if I pay 4 into X and tap it, basically all these pingers turn into, 4 extra ping instead of just 1. So like our, Goblin Slinger, instead of pinging a player for 1, all of a sudden pings it for whatever mana that we have lying around. As soon as we have very many of these pingers at all, this seems like a pretty insane damage amplifying. And then the side sort of hustle this card has, being able to occasionally draw us a card, seems excellent for only 2 mana. That seems exactly what we're looking for. Vathian Stinger, it's a 3 mana 0/1. It taps to deal 1 damage to target creature or player, and you can also unearth it for 1 and a red, which means you exile it from your graveyard and you get a copy of it with haste that exiles at the end of the turn. Once again, I kind of wanted to get to a critical mass of this sort of effect, at least off the get-go, and we'll see how many we end up with. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in trying to pick up as many of these as I can that are efficient. Kamal Pit Fighter, it's a 6 mana 6/1 with haste, and you can tap it to deal 3 damage to target creature or player. This one is a little iffy for me. 6 is a lot of mana, and it's obviously really easy to kill as a 6/1. But 6 damage from, tapping it immediately with our commander out definitely seems interesting. I'm going to grab it for now, even though it's a little on the expensive side. So we'll grab that for now. It's a little iffy. Sorry, let me scroll back down here to where we were. Sun Titan. Sun Titan's just going to be great value engine for us. It gets us back a lot of our pingers and stuff. I don't need to read Sun Titan to you. You know what that does. Not really interested in making token copies of tokens. Volshock Sorcerer. It's another pinger with haste. That seems great for us. Vika Scorching Stalwart. This is one of the Universes Within cards. It's 2 and a white for a 2/4 with training, which means whenever it attacks another target attacking creature with greater power, you put a 1/1 counter on this creature. And you can pay 4 and a red and untap this creature and discard a card. It deals damage equal to its power to any target. And then excess damage that was dealt to a creature this way, you draw a card. So it's a lot of words to say this is kind of a pinger. It's got an activated ability that targets a player. It can give you some consistent card draw. If this thing gets any sort of bigger, which some of the mercenaries that we're making lying around will help us achieve. So I think it's worth the include. It seems like we want as many of these cards that can incidentally draw us cards to kind of help bring our deck together as much as possible. So I'm definitely interested in that. Village Bell Ringer. See, this is one of the bait sort of cards that's kind of in here because it kind of lines up well with some of the combos that people might be doing with like Kiki Jiki, which you doesn't even really actually care about your commander for this combo. But basically, the Kiki Jiki will tap to untap to make a token copy that will untap to Kiki Jiki, and it just goes infinite or whatever. So this is sort of a bait card, and I don't think this does enough for us, even just untapping our pingers or whatever. Solemn. It's just kind of good value. I'll grab it for now. Fervent Paincaster. This is another 3 mana pinger. It can just ping players unless you exert it. I guess that might be fine. I'm going to grab it for now. Probably won't be doing a ton of attacking. Cinder Pyromancer, more pingers. Angel of Condemnation. This can exile a creature until it basically just flickers, or you can exile until it leaves if you exert it. I don't think we'll be able to get a lot of value out of the flicker here. A 4 mana flying vigilance 3/3 is like not embarrassing, but yeah, I'm really hoping we can do better than this. White Plume Adventure. Let me see if this falls under $1. I really hope it does. Even though the initiative, yeah, it does. Okay. Even though the initiative can be a nightmare, sometimes it's extremely powerful and a really good value engine. White Plume Adventure. It's a 3 mana 3/3. It gives you the initiative when it enters the battlefield, which is very powerful. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you untap a creature you control. If you've completed a dungeon, which doesn't matter that much, you untap all your creatures. Gives us some consistent access to our pingers and such, so I'm interested in it for sure. Spike Shot Elder. It's very similar to the goblin we were talking about early on. The Spike Shot Goblin, what's his name? Where's he at? Yeah, Spike Shot Goblin, this guy. This is kind of the same thing, but in a way worse because it costs way more mana. It's a 1 mana 1/1, and it takes 3 to activate the ability if it deals damage to its power to any target. So I don't think I'm interested in this one. The other one maybe I can get down with because after you invest the initial mana into it, then you're not having to go in for much, just 1 red and tap. But this one, it's kind of the flip, and the ability that I want to use a lot is the thing that costs more. So I don't think I'm interested in this one. Avacyn, you can prevent damage from a color from your source. This one's mostly just a pretty decent beater. The activated abilities don't actually matter, so it's not really going to synergize with what we got going on. Voldaren Thrill Seeker. This one seems really nice. It's a 3 mana 1/1, and it has backup 2, which means when it enters the battlefield, you can put 2 counters on it or another creature. If you put it on another creature, it gains the ability of, which also the Voldaren Thrill Seeker has, 1 red, 1 colorless mana, and sack this creature. It deals damage equal to its power to any target. So this seems like a really good combo. You pump up a creature with the backup, maybe pump it up with some of the mercenaries you might have lying around, and all of a sudden you can fling that creature for a bunch of damage. So really like the idea of Voldaren Thrill Seeker. 8.5 tails. This is kind of a stand-in for Mother of Runes. It's white, and 2. For a Fox Cleric, you can pay 1 and a white. Target permanent you control gains protection from white until end of turn. And you can pay 1 target spell or permanent becomes white until end of turn. This is a bit on the mana intensive side to do the Mother of Runes sort of effect. So I don't think I'm interested in this one. I think we can do better, and I'll show you how we're going to get there. Now, this might be a weird one, but Cathar Commando seems like a card I definitely want because it's just generically really good. And this one's not obviously good with our commander. So it's 1 and a white for a 3/1 with flash. It's a human soldier. You can pay 1 and sacrifice it to destroy target artifact or enchantment. So even though it doesn't say it targets a creature or a player inherently, my understanding is that if you target a artifact creature or an enchantment creature, you will get to duplicate this ability. And once you duplicate the ability, the other half of the ability doesn't necessarily have to target an artifact or creature. You really just want to target it with the initial ability, so that way you can get the duplicate. Because Ertha Joe says whenever you activate an ability that targets a creature or a player. So even though the ability of the Cathar Commander doesn't inherently say creature or player, if you end up targeting a creature, then it's going to duplicate. So that seems pretty awesome. So I'm definitely down with running a Cathar Commando. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to run very much of this effect. There's lots of cards that do this sort of effect. But Cathar Commando is kind of the best of the best, and it's flexible enough where I'm feeling pretty good about including this one. And sorry, chat, I see y'all, but I'm trying to stay focused, at least as we're getting kind of off the ground here, because I can get a little long-winded, as you can probably tell. Okay, so let's get into the, but yeah, I see y'all. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. If you're catching this VOD afterwards, this is a stream that I do on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. is usually about the start time. So feel free to subscribe or join the Discord that's down in the description, and I'll try to keep y'all posted on when I'm going to be streaming. All right, so let's move into the instance now. Let's see if there's anything here that catches my eye. Chaos Warp seems like a good catch-all removal spell. I'm going to grab it for now. It might be a little bit more expensive for the budget than I would like, but it's a good catch-all. And when you're kind of in budget decks, I'd rather have a few good catch-all removal spells than a bunch of like hyper-efficient, removal spells. Big score. Not really sure about this one. Doesn't really get us any sort of card advantage. We don't really play with our graveyard very much, so not really feeling that. Boros Charm. I think I'm in for Boros Charm because, like I said earlier, we're a very creature. I guess it's a little out of budget. Wow, Boros Charm's $4. That's crazy. We are going to be a little board focused, so we're going to be using Scryfall here shortly to help us find some ways to protect our board. Demand Answers. Once again, I'm not super really interested in this card, even though it's a little more flexible. Generous Gift is definitely one that I'm interested in. Didn't mean to click on that. I'll go back. Generous Gift seems really good for us. Once again, it's really flexible removal. It's at least finally getting down to the budget range of under $1 again. So I'm definitely going to snag that. Let's see what else. Anything else here that's going to catch my eye? Let's put Deflecting Swat in that. Just kidding. That's the entire budget. Nothing here is catching my eye. Lightning Volley. Until end of turn, creatures you control can ping. Most of our creatures are already going to be able to do that, so I don't think that that's worth it. 2 arms seems really nice for us. It's 1 and a white. Instant, untap all creatures you control and draw a card. So this allows us to reset all of our pingers, and if we have any sort of tappy, protective sort of dudes, then this will help us out. So yeah, this definitely seems great, and we don't even go down a card in the exchange, so I like that as kind of a little one-off effect. Dead Before Sunrise instead of turn outlaws you control can ping based on their power. Oof. This is another new one. I assume this one's under $1. Most of these new cards are. Yep, this is dirt cheap, dirt ass cheap. But I don't think we're ending up with very many outlaws, I'm guessing, so I'm going to leave that off. Braid, I'm really not sold on a Braid in Commander, unless I'm like mono red or something. Blasphemous Act, I'd like to, but we're pretty creature heavy, and this is a little pricey side. I'm sure if we want a board wipe, we can find something that works a little better for us. I'm interested in Cut a Deal. I think that this is a really nice card as just like a easy draw spell. It's 3, it's 2 and a white, so 3 mana. For a sorcery, each opponent draws a card, and then you draw a card for each opponent who drew a card this way. So even though you give out a resource to everybody, a card, you get 3 on the exchange for 3 mana, which is a hyper efficient rate for you. And just giving each opponent a card is like a lot better than giving one opponent 3 cards. For you, that is. It's way better than Secret Rendezvous, because you're not just like saying, hey, this player is a big threat now because they didn't invest any mana and they have 3 more cards. At least this one, you kind of spread the love a little bit. So I like Cut a Deal quite a bit. It seems like a good, just generically good card advantage spell. Savine's Reclamation, you're watching a Blake stream, so Savine's Reclamation is definitely going to go in, and it just synergizes really well with our deck. We have lots of little creatures that are utility creatures that'll end up in the graveyard for sure, and just other things that we'll get to. So definitely going to include Savine's Reclamation. It brings back, permanents with CMC 3 or less. And if you flash it back for 5 mana, you get 2 things. So in a way, it's kind of an expensive 3-for-1 that you can kind of split up over time. So that's why I always love Savine's Reclamation. It's just so flexible, and it's just a very good value card. None of these catch my eye. I could include like a Ren's Resolve, and then the other one. What is the other one called? Shoot, I'm only forgetting because I'm on stream. Let me scroll up here, see if I see it. No, okay. I might include Ren's Resolve and whatever the other stupid one's called, if we need some more card advantage. So we'll see about that. Agatha's Soul Cauldron is disgusting in this deck, but obviously it's over the entire our deck. But if you are making an Ertha Joe deck that's not on a budget and you have an Agatha Soul Cauldron lying around, recommend putting it in there because it just duplicates and just does just crazy nonsense. Basilica Spellbomb. This one, Skull Bomb. This one I actually quite like for this deck. Normally I think this card's not great, but it's 1 mana for an artifact. You can pay 1 and sack it to draw a card, which that obviously doesn't target you, so that doesn't duplicate. But the effect that does duplicate is the bottom one, which is 2 and a white, and you sack it. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains flying until end of turn, and then you draw a card. So you actually get to draw 2 cards off that ability because the entire ability duplicates twice just because you targeted a creature 1 time. And being able to give 2 creatures +2/+2 and flying, it's not nothing. That can help you chunk in for a little bit of damage to help soften some people up. So definitely interested in Basilica Spellbomb. Skull Bomb. God, I knew I had something wrong. All right. Hilda's Crown of Winter. This one seems interesting. I think I like it enough. It's 3 mana for an artifact. You can pay 1 and tap this to tap target creature, and it costs 1 less to activate if it's during your turn. Or you can pay 3 and sack it to draw a card for each tapped creature your opponents control. So the first ability will duplicate because you're targeting a creature. The second one doesn't duplicate because you aren't targeting a player. It's just drawing for all the tapped creatures your opponents control, not just one. That being said, I think that this card, just in the aggregate, is probably just going to draw you enough cards. And on your turn, you can kind of help facilitate it with your commander by tapping 2 things and then sacking it for 3. And then surely you're going to draw at least 3 cards at that point. So I think that this is going to be a nice little consistent card advantage card for us. And like I said earlier with some of the other Tapper, Giant Killer, I think that Tappers are kind of underrated in Commander. So I'm definitely interested in this card. And it comes back with our Savine's Reclamation, of course. I'll throw that out there. What else? Really like Stone of Eric here. This one seems great. please put Graveyard Hate in your decks. Please. Just do it, please. But this one works amazing with our commander. It's a 1-mana artifact. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. So you can help stop graveyard shenanigans proactively. But you can pay 2 and tap and sack it to exile target player's graveyard and draw a card. So really nice effect here, because the second effect actually targets a player. So you get to exile 2 players' graveyards and draw 2 cards with your commander out. That seems awesome. I love that. Yeah, tap tribal especially is really powerful for sure, because then you get to run a ton of cards like Hilda's Crown of Winter. But I think even in the aggregate, people can in white decks and stuff can probably run effects like this and be pretty surprised by the effects. All right, more artifacts. Let's see if anything else catches our eye. Obviously, a lot of these are way out of budget for what we're looking for. Key of the City is interesting. You can tap it and discard a card to make 1 creature unblockable. That ability obviously gets copied, so we can make 2 creatures unblockable. So far, we've grabbed no creatures of reasonable size that will attack profitably. So I'm not really in for Key to the City as it stands. Even though it kind of lets us filter cards kind of mana intensively. Not really feeling this one. Wedding Invitation, this one cantrips when it comes in. It's a 2-mana artifact that draws a card when it enters, so it's a pretty low bar to enter. And then you can tap and sack it to make a creature unblockable. If it's a vampire, it gains lifelink. That's not relevant, but mostly it's just if I wanted a Key to the City effect, I would run Wedding Invitation basically, because it gets you your card right back immediately, and then you can still make 2 creatures unblockable. So even though it can't like keep filtering cards over and over again, you just aren't really in for anything here. But once again, the way we have this deck built, we're not really like that heavy of an attacks sort of deck. All right, enchantments. Let's see what we got. Very expensive, powerful cards, obviously. Footfall Crater. I think I'm in for Footfall Crater. I think this makes sense. It's a 1 red mana enchantment aura and enchants a land you control. The land gains the ability tap target creature gains trample and haste until end of turn. So this is a pretty nice little haste enabler that isn't going to get caught up in board wipes and stuff. And worst case, if you already have a haste enabler, which we'll get to some more of them in a little bit, then you can just cycle it for 1 mana, which this ability doesn't copy. Even though it's an activated ability, it doesn't actually target you. You just draw a card. It doesn't say target player draws a card. It just says draw a card. So only the first ability gets duplicated, but I think that's good enough. You just aren't really ever in for very much with this card. So I think it makes sense here. Lasted by the Law. It's like a really expensive O-ring that spots you a mercenary. Nope, not interested in that. Another really expensive, generically powerful card. We Ride at Dawn. Your legends have Convoke. Okay, we're not really playing a lot of those. Whenever a commander attacks, you get a mercenary. If we were a little legend heavy, then maybe, but I don't think this... I like the second ability, but it just isn't enough. We're not trying to attack with our commander. Cast second spell, make a mercenary. I don't think that's impactful enough. Touch the Spirit Realm is interesting. I think I'm in for this one. Once again, I clicked on the card. Whoops. It's basically a 3-mana O-ring. When it enters the battlefield, you exile a thing until it leaves. And then it also has a channel ability. This one actually will get duplicated with our commander. Because it's 1 and a white, you discard it. Exile target artifact or creature, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the end step. So if you actually target our creature with this flicker effect on the channel, it actually does duplicate. So it can kind of act as like a pseudo fog at instant speed in a pinch that's pseudo unencounterable. And just in the aggregate, it's just an O-ring that can get rid of an artifact or creature. So I think that's flexible enough and a catch-all enough that I like it. I think I'm going to include it. Cryon Negotiations. This is a weird one. I have this one in my my deck building box. I never find a deck for it. It's 2 red for an enchantment. Tap an untapped creature you control. It deals 1 damage to target player. If there's any deck that's going to fit this card, it's this one. This one actually turns our commander and the mercenaries that we have lying around into pingers, which is really nice. I'm pretty sure this card's under $1. Let's look. If not, we might try to stretch it anyway. Yeah, it's kind of right at $1. Okay, we're going to include it for now. This one might get cut for budget reasons, but we'll include it for now. Seal of Cleansing. This one's great. Basically, it's the same thing as Cathar Commando. If you actually target a creature that's an artifact or enchantment, it will duplicate. And then the duplicate doesn't have to target an artifact or enchantment. You can choose new targets, any legal target. Just the initial target has to be an artifact or enchantment. So I like Seal of Cleansing. Smuggler's Share. This one I'm pretty sure is still out of budget. Yes, just a generic value card. Grasp of Fate, and it doesn't really fit with our theme. It's just okay. Or if Silence is too expensive. This is an amazing Takasia's Welcome deck. Every creature in our deck triggers this thing, but it's just too out of budget now. People have caught on that this card is just good. I've been playing the shit out of this card. This card is amazing. But yeah, this card's just a little too out of budget, so we can't include it here. But if you're doing above $25 budget, this would definitely be one of the earlier ones I would add for sure. Notably, we're going to get to Planeswalkers in a second. But Planeswalker abilities, if they do target, Planeswalker abilities are activated abilities. Now, you won't get like double loyalty counters or double negative loyalty counters when you use them, because the loyalty is actually the cost of the effect that you get. And then once the effect goes on the stack, the effect is what gets duplicated. So there are some Planeswalkers that target players or target creatures. Those effects will get doubled with your commander if they meet those prerequisites. But for the most part, at least on a budget, nothing really catches my eye. And even off of a budget, when I was looking around, nothing really caught my eye. So damage amplifiers, like I was talking about earlier, we're going to look for more of these for sure. Mechanized Warfare is an excellent one for us. It's 1 red for an enchantment. It says if a red or artifact source you control would deal damage to an opponent or permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage +1. So all of a sudden our pingers are doing double damage. That's sick. For 3 mana, you can ask for more for a damage multiplier for sure. There's not any battles that interest me. I'm going to keep it on the short here and say none of these Planeswalkers interest me. Most of these are out of budget anyway. Even if they weren't, they don't really do enough, from my opinion. But there could be a very strange Super Friends Boros deck that you could do, I guess. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of skim through these. The only one that I would think would be interesting is Jaya Venerated Fire Mage. It's 5 mana for a 5 loyalty Planeswalker. And it says if a red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals that much damage +1 to that permanent or player. So that's an effect that we really want. But 5 mana for that effect, just adding 1 is not super impactful. But at least it can spot you some shocks. But Planeswalkers kind of suck in Commander. We're not going to be very good at defending this thing, I don't think. We'll have some pingers lying around that can shoot off some utility creatures, but if somebody wants to chunk in to our commander, to a Jaya with like a Sun Titan or something, or even worse, like a trample creature, like a Elder Gargaroth or something, then then you're gonna be hurting. You're not gonna be able to protect this thing. So I'm gonna grab it for now anyway, but it's probably not gonna make the cut. I'm just gonna tell you right now. Okay, let's see what else we got. Rogue's Passage. This effect does work with our commander, but like I said earlier, I don't think we really want this. I don't think unblockable really matters to us, so this is not going to make the cut. If we wanted a critical massive colorless lands for Endbringer for like that super narrow situation, then I guess you could play it, but I'm probably not going to bother. Aganja would be really sweet if we could afford it. Sunhome. Creature gains double strike. We don't really care about that. Unblockable stuff, don't really care about that. Slayer's Stronghold is like a maybe. It can pump a creature and give it vigilance and haste until the end of turn. I like a haste enabler on a land. I think this is a utility land I can get behind since it comes in untapped. Drannith Runes, you can pump a non-human creature that entered the battlefield this turn. I'll grab it for now. That's interesting. Desert is a little bit out of our price range, but this one is cute. You can ping an attacking creature at the end of combat, which will get doubled from your commander, so that's cute. Ominous Cemetery, you can pay 5 and tap and exile it. Target creature's owner shuffles it into their library. I actually am going to grab this one. This one's interesting to me. Even though it's like a bajillion mana, the fact that it gets rid of any creature, which our pingers are going to struggle getting rid of some of the bigger creatures sometimes, I think it's a utility lane that we could probably spot. Labyrinth of Scothfos, that's just way too much mana. We're probably never going to do that. Scavenger Grounds exiles all graveyards. I'll throw it in as a little extra graveyard hate. Sure. I am interested in running bounce lands. A double colorless bounce land is going to be a little tough. We do have a lot of cards that are like red and 2 or white and 2 and that sort of stuff. Like we're going to have ways to use double colorless mana, but it's a little iffy. I am going to grab one of them, but I'm not going to grab Guildless Commons. It's probably not even going to be listed here, but not going to grab that one. Anything else here? I'm not a Reliquary of Tower believer. Okay, now we're down to Mana Rocks. This is an important one. Okay, I'm going to start off by saying I'm going to give my Soul Ring spiel. If I would recommend people not play Soul Ring in their casual decks in general. Most people are against fast mana. Soul Ring's fast mana, but for some reason it just gets the pass because it's not expensive, I guess. But it still doesn't lead to good play experiences and all that. But since I'm helping you guys build a deck for you, and the vast majority of you are not going to, have a rule zero discussion with your opponents, and people are going to want to play their Soul Rings because they're in their decks already and all that. Then obviously I'm going to include it here. Most of the time it's over $1, so most of the time it's out of budget. I believe right now it's slightly under. It's like 70 or 80 cents. So I mean, it's always fluctuating. Yeah, it's kind of back over $1. But even just for the dollar, like the power level is obviously so insane that I have to include it here if I'm building a deck for functionality, which is what I am doing for you guys. So all right, let's grab some Mana Rocks: Arcane Signet, Boros Signet, Talisman, Felwar Stone, Mind Stone. I really want the 2 Mana Rocks for sure. Is Bounty Board under $1? I might be interested in this one. It is under $1. Okay, Bounty Board's an interesting one. This is a new one. It's a 3-mana artifact. It taps to add 1 mana of any color. You can pay 1 and tap it to put a bounty counter on target creature. Activate only as a sorcery. So you are single targeting a creature with this ability, and it is an activated ability, so this will get duplicated. Whenever a creature with a bounty counter on it dies, each of its controller's opponents draws a card and gains 2 life. Wow, that was hard to read. So it's got the Cheville text on it that has like the green-black dude that cares about bounty counters in the same way. I really want my Mana Rocks to cantrip in this deck as much as possible, because I definitely see a world, since our curve is pretty low, we still want Mana Rocks for like consistency and, kind of building up and keeping up with the rest of the table. We don't want to be playing like pinger into commander into 1 pinger, and then finally we double pinger or like whatever we're doing. We definitely want to still accelerate, but we want to be able to cash out after we have a bunch of mana and we need things to do. So I think we are going to be happy with Bounty Board. It's the long story in the short. And Liquid Metal Torque seems great for us. It's a 2 Mana Rock that can make things into artifacts, but it's crept up to over $1, so I don't think I'm going to be able to squeeze it in the budget, unfortunately. I'm really not a Commander Sphere gamer, but I think it actually makes sense for this deck. It curves pretty nicely with our deck, and once again, it has the cash out feature on it, so I quite like that. Springleaf Drum. So notably, like mana abilities and such, they don't really double with your commander because mana abilities don't use the stack. So even though some things might say like a player gets a mana and you can choose the player, those mana abilities don't use the stack. So your commander can never actually see that mana ability hit the stack. They just kind of put the mana in their mana pool. So avoid Mana Rocks that do that, basically. It's the long and the short. I don't think I'm in for Stone Speaker Crystal, but I might be interested in Hedron Archive. A 4 Mana Rock is a little iffy for us, but we do have some 6 drops and such that we kind of want to hit. And once again, Hedron Archive can cash out for a couple of cards. While I'm not really interested in exiling people's graveyards just for 1 card, we're going to be pretty hard pressed for staying with the speed of the game and such. So we'll get around to that here shortly. We're almost to the Scryfall section. All right, let's grab some dual lands. Command Tower is great. Clifftop Retreat's great. We really want untapped duels. Battlefield Forge is really back over $1. Man, this card's been 50 cents forever. Standard, you're killing me. It's 80 cents. I'm going to grab it for now. It's probably going to have to end up getting cut. I'm a big believer in Exotic Orchard for sure. Love Exotic Orchard. It's great. It's almost always going to tap for 1, if not both of your colors. Filter lands. I generally like filter lands into colored decks, but this one's a little out of budget, so I'm not really going to stretch for it. It's not really that worth it to me. Bounce lands, Boros Garrison sounds great to me. I really want bounce lands in budget decks. They're really great, especially if they're 2-color budget decks. Fury, Calm Snarl. I think I'm in for this because I'm kind of contemplating putting just like the basic dual lands that just enter tapped all the time, like scattered peaks that just have the land types. So I think I'm in for a Snarl. Elegant Parlor. These are all out of budget. Am I in for a Scryland? I guess I'll take a Scryland. Sure. We're going to need some fixing, and we might be a little hard-pressed for some decks. I'm definitely in for Mirrored Landscape as long as I'm not playing green. I am in for a Braided Bluffs. I'll get into why this is later. We haven't grabbed the card yet, but there's a new version of Knight of the White Orchid that I would really like to try in this deck. So with a Braided Bluffs and the Deserted, what's this thing called? Why am I forgetting this name? Scavenger Grounds. With those two deserts in our deck, we'll consistently get one. So I'm definitely in for that. Anything else here that catches my eye? No. Okay, sweet. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move what I have so far. I'm going to copy this over. Clipboard. Boom. Now we get a bulk edit. We paste it in our main deck. Save. Cool. So let's see where we're at right now. We're at $32 right now, and there's definitely some things that we're going to end up cutting for sure. I'm going to go ahead and add 20 basics into this deck just to kind of placehold. I can't spell mountain, apparently. Sick. Nice job, Blake. Plains. Oh, I have my fancy ones in here. Hold on, let me change these. I have my nice lands that I like. These are my favorite lands, the unhinged lands. These are awesome. Where's cheapest printing? I don't see cheapest printing on here. Okay, let me just switch to some random printing that doesn't cost anything. I need like a something. Here, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I'll say your lands cost 5 cents. Boom. That's going to add like $1 to our budget. These are spoiled. You realistically get lands for free, but you know, we're going to say that they're 3 and 5 cents just because. All right, let's add 10 of these. Let's add 10 of these. So as you can see, we're already over the 100 card decks limit, and we're going to be adding a bunch more stuff. So we're definitely going to be trimming some stuff down here shortly. More graveyard interaction for the same mana cost, Hedron and Stone versus Stone Speaker. Yeah, I agree. I generally would prefer Stone Speaker Crystal over Hedron Archive. But I think for this deck, especially since we're on a budget, generally white and red cards that give you good card advantage are generally pretty expensive because they're just generically really powerful cards. So I think we're going to be hard-pressed to keep cards in our hand and having things to do, especially since we're going to commit to the board a lot, and we don't inherently generate a lot of card advantage with a lot of these creatures that we have. So like if we get board wiped once, especially if we get board wiped twice, we're going to be out of things to do. We're going to be out of the game. So I want to make sure that this seems like very small minutia that probably doesn't really sound like it matters, but the extra card out of Hedron Archive could actually be big game sometimes. So I'm going to try to put like a little bit more incidental graveyard hate in the deck with some of the ads that we're going to get to here. But yeah, so this is where we're starting. So this is what we've grabbed from EDH Rec. As I kind of talked about so far, there's definitely some effects that I saw in here that I am really interested in, such as the Mother of Runes is kind of the big one, and just board protection stuff for us and in general. Other card advantage stuff, maybe more pingers. So here's how we can use that to our advantage. So one last thing that you can include sort of in your toolkit is a sticky note thing, and I'll show you how we're going to use that here real quick. So we're going to go to Scryfall. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up an advanced search. And this is just going to basically filter cards through our basic commander color identity and stuff. So what I do is I go to Scryfall, I go to advanced search. Down here, there's a section that says commander. This is for your commander's color identity. So our commander's color identity is red and white. And we want to make it so the cards are legal in commander. So it just saves us from seeing like random uncards or, you know, whatever ban cards. So I'm going to create this search. So this is just all the red and white cards that we could play technically in our commander. And I'm going to copy this link and I'm just going to post it in this sticky note because I'm going to copy paste this link probably several times here in a minute. And I'm going to start opening a lot of tabs of Scryfall. So what's an effect that we wanted? We liked Mother of Runes, right? Let's go to Mother of Runes. There's a section down here in Scryfall called Open Scryfall Tagger. If you click this, it gives you a lot of things that you can reference. Most of it's art, which we don't really care about. We're mostly trying to build functional decks. But if you come down here to card, these are basically links that have been linked to other cards that will help you find similar cards to Mother of Runes, things that do the same thing or like self-referential or that sort of stuff. So what we're interested with Mother of Runes is the gives protection, right? We talked about how we have a board that we need to protect because we're going to be very creature focused and very board centric. So we're going to click gives protection here. So this is going to give us all the cards in Magic essentially that they have tagged under this link. And I find that these tags are pretty widespread. These are really well done. Like they don't really miss out on things. Even like really narrow things like all creatures get protection from black and such. So now what I do is to make this functional and not just get like a bunch of like blue cards or whatever. I click this little pop out thing here, and now it pulls it out. It's another link. It's O tag gives protection. So you're going to see this O tag thing a lot. So now that I have my copy paste thing for my commander, this thing, I just copy this and I add it here. Boom. Now this is all the protection spells that are within our commander's color identity. We still have 104 cards. And we can narrow this down more, but I'm not going to make it like too complicated of a search, so that way you can replicate it at home a lot easier. So we're just going to work with this. So once again, we're kind of a board-centric deck, and we want things that have activated abilities. So there's a few things that are going to catch my eye. Alseid of Life's Bounty. This one seems like a good option for a white mana for a 1/1 lifelink, and you can pay 1 and sack it. Target creature or enchantment you control gains protection of the color from your choice. So it kind of does a one-off sort of Mother of Runes effect. And this card's definitely a budget card for sure. So I might grab it. More importantly, Benevolent Bodyguard. This one's even a bit better. It's a 1-mana 1/1 that you don't even need to pay the mana into it. You can just sack it and target creature gains protection from the color of your choice. So that one I'm definitely going to add to the list. Benevolent Bodyguard. There's probably a better way you can do this, but that's the way I'm going to do it. So I got Benevolent Bodyguard in here. Let's see what else we can find that's interesting. The Cliffside Rescuer. This one's a funny one. It's a 2-mana 2/2 with Vigilance, and you can sack it. Target permanent you control gains protection from each of your opponents until the end of turn. So this protects it from everything. It protects it from combat damage, from targeting, from Blasphemous Axe, from whatever. And you can actually use this pretty offensively if you want to punch in, since they can no longer block with any of their creatures. So if we were a little bit more combat-focused deck, where we really want to push our creatures through and we have random big idiots that we might need to get in, like if we were a Key to the City sort of deck, then I would be more interested in Cliffside Rescuer. But I think I'm going to pass on this one. I don't think I'm that desperate for this effect. All right, what else we got? Target permanent you control gains protection from instants and sorceries until end of turn. This one's pretty cute. How much is this card? It's $3. This one is like this one could be a pretty good replacement for Mother of Runes. Most of the time, your permanents are going to get removed by instants and sorceries, by generous gifts, or by path to exiles, or whatever. And this is still repeatable, just like Mother of Runes. You don't actually have to sack this one. So if this one was cheap, I would be interested in Devoted Caretaker. So it's a cool one for you guys at home. We already talked about 8.5 Tails. What else do we have? There's Giver Runes again. Glory is a pretty cute one, but we don't have a really good way of putting it in the graveyard. And even though it's an activated ability, it doesn't target and such. So not sure we're into that one. Guardian Archon, this one chooses an opponent. That's not a targeted ability, so this one doesn't duplicate, which is a bummer. But it's not really even that good of a card. But it would be cute if it worked. What else we got? What else we got? Target creature gains protection. That's 4 mana. That's like a bajillion. We're not doing that. These ones that are like directly one color, I'm not really interested in either. They're just too narrow. This one's 1,000 mana to do that effect. No, thank you. Okay. Nothing else there that really interests me. Choose a creature type. Where's the battlefield? You gain protection from the color of your choice until end turn. That one doesn't double. These are all just cast, no activated abilities here. I mean, you could realistically just like run just random other protection spells like like, you know, shelters or whatever, but I think we can find other stuff here. I have another search I want to try here too. So another card that I didn't see on the list that is just a really good board protection spell is Selfless Spirit. Let's open up another Scryfall. Selfless Spirits. I can type. All right, let's see what Selfless Spirit has tagged. Evasion, Martyr, gives indestructible, protects creature. This one is protection in general, or it protects creature, looks like. It's probably going to be very similar. I still have that thing pasted. Yeah, it's just all the same stuff. There might be a few extras in here. Choose a creature type, yep. Astral Drift, this one does copy when you cycle it, but not really interested in that. Yeah, this isn't really giving us a whole lot of options. This isn't an activated ability, even though it's on a creature. Cauldron of Souls is kind of funny, but doubling the persist doesn't really matter. But it's an option. But most of our creatures, a lot of our creatures have 1 toughness, so they won't even come back. Yeah, so we don't want that. Yeah, I'm not really. I mean, you could run like a Cosmic Intervention or something. How much is Selfless Spirit? Can we include that? Where's my... I don't have TCG Player open, naturally. Why am I typing Scryfall? You didn't see anything. You did not see a thing. Ignore that. Is card worth anything? Yeah, it's a little more than I would like for the deck. This one's a choose, so this one doesn't duplicate. Target creature gains indestructible, but it's 1,000 mana. Thanks. This flickers 2 things, which is kind of cute, but we don't really have a lot of ETB effects. Same thing with this. I might just have to live with like a 3 mana, give your board indestructible sort of effect. Like a, what's that one with addendum? I'll think of it in a minute. Ghost Away is not really what we're looking for. Glorious Protector is okay. This one's at least a creature, but Guardian of Faith, I assume, is too much for the deck. It is. Okay. I think I'm in for not really seeing a lot that catches my eye here. Make a Stand is one of the effects I was kind of thinking of. There's one with addendum that does this too. That can like put counters on your dudes and whatever. There's Mom. She's back. Sacrifice a target creature, control the 1/1 counter against lifelink indestructible. Yeah, we don't really do that. Resolute Watchdog. This one that does kind of the same thing as Benevolent Bodyguard. Selfless Savior is another one. I don't think we've gotten to that one. Yeah, there he is. Okay. Selfless Savior is another one that could be duplicated. That's just a better version of this. I think I'm in for Selfless Savior because the cost of using it is just nothing. So let's do Selfless Savior. If we lose like a ping or 2 in a board wipe, that's fine, but we really don't want to be like recasting our commander a bunch of times. Once it starts getting up to like 8 mana, then we're hurting. We don't want to get that far behind. Shijiri Shelter. I mean, it's a Blake deck. I got to put Shijiri Shelter in here. I got to get my modal DFCs in here. If I can spell this card. There we go. Boom. What's it say? 93 cents. Oh my god. Maybe not. Wow. They lied to me. Okay. I think we're pretty good with those protection spells. I think I could live with like one, my whole board gets indestructible effect. So which one do we want? Let's just finish looking at. There we go. Unbreakable Formation. That's the one I kept thinking of, the one with addendum. That's probably going to be the one that I include. Your temple's under attack. I think I'm in for your temple's under attack because this one can cantrip if we're really desperate. Or not cantrip, but draw you 2 and give your opponent 2, which is definitely the worst mode on this card. You'd much rather use this as a 3-mana. I'd give your board indestructible. But if you're not really worried about your board getting wiped and you really need stuff to do, then this can double for that. But I'm also going to open up Scryfall Tagger here and just look real quick. I'm just going to hit gives indestructible. Yeah, this is way less cards. Okay, so I'm just going to look through this real quick because it's not that many cards. Okay, it's still 100 cards. Maybe not. Yeah, so I probably won't do this. It looks like it's all kind of the same stuff. Bohemia is very good, but we can't afford that in our deck for sure. Okay, I'm not really... Eagle of Deliverance actually seems really sweet. How much is this card? Okay, this card seems sweet. This is a weird one. Eagle of Deliverance is 4 white for a 5/5 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, you put an indestructible counter on another creature you control. You draw a card if that creature's power is 2 or less. So it kind of cantrips and can protect our commander, which is interesting. But it is a bajillion mana, so yeah, we probably want like some chunky flyers, evasive creatures that could like chunk in for a bit to soften people up. So I'm considering this card. I'm going to throw it in for now, even though it's like kind of low impact in general. Eagle of Deliverance. I'm going to throw it in here for now. Might be one that ends up in the deck for sure. All right, so let's close this. Let's close this. We want your temple is under attack. Our temple. It's under attack. Sweet. All right, what else do we need? Let's go back to EDH Rec. What else were we missing? We would want some more damage amplification, right? Okay, so let's go to one of the cards that we included. We don't need this anymore. I'll leave this Gift Protection open for now. We might have some flexibility here. Let's open another Skyfall. Mechanized Production was the name of that card. Mechanized Warfare. See, I don't even know cards. Scryfall Tagger, Damage Increaser. Cool. This is the tag that we're looking for. And there's only 20, so this won't take very long. I assume these are all red, but just for consistency's sake, I'm going to paste my commander in link here. All right, so what are we looking at? Aki Lava Runner, it's a 4-mana 1/1 with haste. If it deals damage to an opponent, you flip it. And the flip side is a 2/2. Its name is Talk Talk. That's amazing. It has protection from red. If a red source you control would deal damage, it deals that much damage to a +1. That's obviously an effect we want. 4 mana is a lot. Well, it's not like a lot, but it's like generally you get more than that effect for 4 mana. And you have to hit somebody with a hasty 1/1 with no evasion. Yeah, I don't know if we're that desperate. We might have to run Aki Lava Runner though. I would hate to, but we might have to. Well, Blake, if you ran some of the unblockable effects, you could help your Aki Lava Runner get in there. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, comments. Embermaw Hellion is a 3-mana and a red for a 4/5 Hellion with Trample. So 5 mana for a 4/5. If a red source you control would deal damage to a permanent player, deals that much damage +1 to that permanent player instead. Okay, 5 mana is a lot for this effect, but at least you get it right up front, and it's kind of on a like okay beater. So I'm gonna throw Embermaw Hellion in here for a minute. We may not have a ton of options. Equal treatment, 2 mana. That doesn't really do what we want, right? If any source would deal 1 or more damage to a creature or player this turn, it deals 2 damage to that creature or player. Oh, wait, this is actually really cute with what we're trying to do. If a source would deal 1 damage to a creature or player this turn, it deals 2 damage to that creature or player instead, and it draws a card. I'm actually kind of in for this. This actually seems awesome. So it's kind of like a one-shot of damage amplification at instant speed for really cheap for 2 mana, and it cantrips. Actually, I'm really in for this. This seems awesome for our deck. This is what Scryfall is for, man. This is awesome. A lot of people give me a lot of credit for knowing so many cards. I have like a pretty deep knowledge of Magic the Gathering, but I mean, even I don't know like equal treatment. Like, come on. But yeah, it seems like this is how you find corner cases for cards that can be really sweet. So yeah, I'm in for equal treatment for sure. That seems fun. O'Hare Ashenil. In this deck, if you were going to go out of budget and still go with like the core of what I have here, this would be like the first card I would add. It's a 4-mana 4/4 with Trample. And if a red source you control would deal an amount of non-combat damage less than O'Hare Ashenil's power, it deals that much damage instead. So base, your 1 pings turn into 4, which is completely absurd. And then if you use any of your like random mercenaries lying around to pump his power even more, then you're just absolutely nuking people out of his existence. Worst case scenario, he dies, flips into a land. And in this deck, if red sources you control dealt 4 more non-combat damage this turn, you can flip it back over, which for this deck is actually pretty achievable. So O'Hare Ashenil would be an insane ad for this deck, but this card's like $7, so there's no way we can fit that. If a red instant or sorcery you control, no, we're not doing any of that. If a spell would deal damage to you or another permanent, you prevent it. If a spell would deal damage to an opponent or permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage +1 instead. Okay, this card seems great. It's a 3-mana 2/3 flying haste. If a spell would deal damage to you or another permanent you control, prevent that damage. So it kind of incidentally protects you from Blasphemous Act on your board, which is kind of nice. And red board wipes in general. And then if a spell, oh, it's just spells. Damn it. We don't really have spells that duplicate damage. See, that's the tricky part. A lot of these duplicated spells. Okay, so never mind. Ram Colorus, or whatever the fuck this card's called. Yeah, you're not getting it. Her red spell would deal damage. Nope, we already got Tywalkeen in here. Flame of Kill, discard your hand, draw 2 for red source, deals that much damage +2. Yeah, that's not going to work. Torbrand, oh, it's $2. 3. Let's see what Torbrand falls at. TCG player, please spare me. Spare me. I really want Torbrand. It's $1.45. Whoa, whoops, I closed that. That sucks. Okay, that was the last one anyway. Torbrand, I'm going to try to make it work. Torbrand's really, really good for what we're doing. And then I know there's another card that has Fusillade in the name. I can't remember if it's like Fanged Fusillade or what it's called, but it's kind of similar to this card, Fury Stoke Giant. So let's see if we can find it with Fury Stoke Giant. That way, in case you at home don't know this card, you can actually come by it. So let's go to Tagger. Gains, reanimate self, pinger, burn any. I think you can find it in like burn any and pinger. Let's go to pinger because we want to see if there's any pingers we missed out on anyway. That could be good. Let's look at a pinger. Let's put this here, even though it probably doesn't literally change anything. Okay, let's see if we have anything here that's interesting. 3 mana, you need energy to ping people. Nope. This one you have to keep sinking mana until it's 1,000 mana. Nope. 7 mana, 6/6 deals damage. Target defending player. Activate only if it's attacking. Nope. Probably not that either. Although this is kind of a big idiot, like I was talking about, it wouldn't be terrible to have a few of these in the deck. Oh man, I fucking love Arc Slugger. I don't know if you guys know this, but I actually started like really getting into Magic around Mirrodin. Like I played during like Onslaught and Odyssey. It was the first time I kind of experienced Magic, but I was a little kid, real little kid, so I didn't really, grasp a lot of the game. But when Mirrodin came around a few years later, I really attached to the game and could actually like build my own decks a bit and do that sort of stuff. So Arc Slugger, this one's a banger, but I don't know. It's a bit mana intensive still, even for Commander. It's 5 mana for a 4/5 beast, and you can pay a red and remove the top 10 cards of your library. So that's the activation cost. And then it deals 2 damage to target creature or player, which would duplicate with our Commander. But yeah, it's not really that sustainable. We could use it like a few times, like 4 or 5 times. But we're already in for so much mana on the surface that, like, yeah, I don't think we can run Arc Slugger. Sorry, buddy. I love you, but you ain't gonna make it. This only targets blocking creatures. That doesn't matter. Blister Spit Gremlin. This one's a pretty cheap ping. It pings each opponent. Even though I did some thinking about this, these ping each opponent ones, even though they add up to be more damage, even though you could be doubling a 1 ping to somebody's face, I really like being able to focus the damage on somebody who's the threat. Or like the creature that's a threat or whatever. So these like 1 damage each opponent ones, I don't think I'm really in for unless it's like a really free roll, which this one's not. This one costs just way too much mana to get going. This is a 5 mana, but it pings for 2. probably not going to make the cut. This Chandra's really sweet for what we're doing, but it's out of budget. Tapping gates. We're not running gates. We already got the Cunning Spark Mage. Deadeye Duelist is a target opponent. And it's like a decent blocker, 1/3 Earth Reach. I'll throw a Deadeye. Whatever this card's called in here. Deadeye Duelist. Throw that in here. I'm in for that. What else we got? Endbringer, we already talked about that. Fire Slinger. This one's cheap. It pings you over and over again too, but you can target anything, and 2 mana is really cheap. Here, Flame Fusillade. This is the card I was thinking of. I'll get into that in just a second. Do I want Fire Slinger? We don't really have life gain in our deck, so the pinging could start chunking us a bit. But it can target anything, and it's only 2 mana. I think I'm in for Fire Slinger. It's efficient enough. And it's any target, which I really like. Even though ping off creatures seems very relevant. All right, Fang Fusillade. Check this card out. It's a 4-mana sorcery. It's end of turn permanents you control gain. Tap this permanent, deals 1 damage to target creature or player. So it even makes sure the pingers, which is wild. This one, as long as this one's in budget, this one's definitely getting in the deck. Oh, no, it's not. It's $5. That sucks. $5. I'm not going to be able to stretch for this card for sure. It's a bummer. But yeah, Flame Fusillade, that's a good one to know about at home. So only hits blocking creatures. It's a bajillion mana. 1 damage target creature. Attack. Only if it's attacking. Nope. Just 1 damage target creature player. If it dealt damage this turn, will be put into a graveyard, remove it from the game. Nope, don't care about that. You cast a creature spell. It deals 1 damage to target player. Tap 2 untapped artifacts. You can ping anything for 1. I don't think we're going to end up with enough artifacts for this. Goblin Artillery, even though this is a 2-mana pinger, it hits us for 3, and that's just too much. That's just too much. Doubling, we're taking 6. Yeah, it's just too much. This one can kill itself, and it's a bajillion mana. It's not going to happen. I forgot how terrible Goblin Cannon is. Few infinite mana obviously kills people, but you know we're not doing any of that for sure. Deals 1 damage to target creature player. Flip a coin. If you flip, choose your opponent's gains control of it. Okay, definitely not that. Granite Shard is a little bit too mana inefficient. Grim Lavamancer was one that I'm definitely interested in. It's very efficient, very cheap money-wise. And it helps us use our graveyard, and we don't really use our graveyard a ton. So Grim Lavamancer is a red mana 1/1, and you can pay a red and tap it and exile 2 cards from your graveyard, and it deals 2 damage to any target. So pretty nice pinger. I quite like it for this deck. Makes sense. Let's see what else we got. Jessica, not really in for this one. It's a pinger for 4 mana, even though it's got haste. I don't think that's gonna make the cut. There's like some of these lands that like you can ping your opponents with by like really putting yourself in a bad spot. I'm not really going to stretch the budget for those. I'd just rather run in basic, I think. 2 mana deals 1 damage to target creature player. Damage would be dealt this turn. Remove it from the game. This one's repeatable. It's pretty mana intensive though. If we ended up in like, yeah, we just don't really have Hearthstone, and we're probably not going to end up running Ertha. If we could reliably get this to 1 mana, it would be really sweet, but 2 mana is just too much. 4 mana, no thanks. What else we got? More deal damage to everybody. This can ping somebody once. This only pings blocking creatures. This pings each opponent. 2 damage to target player or battle. It's 5 mana though. I don't think we can stretch for an okay Javelineer. I think we have enough pingers for the most part. Creature that was damaged this turn. Yeah, that's not going to make the cut. Anything else here? We don't have Prodigal Pyromancer, I don't think. Oh, we did snack him. Okay. couldn't remember if we snagged that one. Way too mana intensive. Okay, I think we're basically done. How much is this card? Oh, this card is 50 cents. Flying haste 4/6 on his battlefield. If it was bargain, you had 4 mana, and you can pay 2 and ping any target. I think that this one I'm interested in. Realm Scorcher, Hellkite. This kind of fits the bill of the two things I was mentioning earlier that I'm looking for: more pingers and some like creatures that can hit decently hard to help us, wear people down and maybe block on occasion or whatever. This is haste, so it hits immediately. It gets you most of your mana back if you bargain, which we are running a decent number of mana rocks, so you can cash in with a mana rock to help get all your mana back. So that's really nice. And it has a repeatable ping on it that's just a mana sink, which I definitely don't mind. So Realm Scorcher, Hellkite, you can get in the deck. Hellkite Scorcher. Realm Scorcher. Yep, you know what I'm talking about. Scryfall. Thank you for being smart. Wow, this card's only 50 cents. This card was like pre-ordering for like $20 like a couple months ago. Okay, I think that's probably going to be the end of it. I'm surprised we found that. Seismic Assault's kind of cute. Discarding lands to shoot people for 2. It is an activated ability that does target only one thing. But I don't think we have... This would be way better if we had like a lot more card draw on the deck, where we're going to be like having a glut of like excess lands in our hand, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think we have enough card draw inherently. Skargan Hellkite's kind of interesting, actually. It's a 5 mana 4/4 with Riot, and you want to put the 1/1 counter on it, because for 4 mana you can deal 2 damage divided if it has the counter on it. It's like a pretty intensive mana sink, but yeah, I think that's a bit too much mana. Okay, Stuffy Doll. Nope, that doesn't work. Triskelion works, but doesn't really do much. Maybe should I target something done this turn? Vengeful Devil's interesting. Because with Vengeful Devil, we can kind of like ping a dude, kill it, and then the Vengeful Devil turns online, and then we can ping something else. And creatures just like randomly die sometimes. I'm in for Vengeful Devil. It's oh damn it, Blake. Why can't you spell? How the fuck do you spell vengeful? Am I an idiot? God, I forgot the other E. I'm an idiot. There. I really want to get as many of these 2 mana pingers that aren't just terrible, so I'm not just having a glut of these 3 mana pingers in our deck. Okay, cool. So we have a game plan. We got pingers, things that amplify damage when applicable. We have a lot of activated abilities, so we can double a lot of those. So yeah, that's kind of our plan. We're a weird Boros burn deck with a bunch of tap effects to kind of do our thing. Oh, there was one more thing that I'm going to try to get in here. I want haste enablers, because we haven't gotten to that yet. So there's one haste enabler that always comes to mind, which is Fervor, because it's just a classic. Fervor. It's just a simple enchantment. It's 3 mana, gives all your creatures haste. That would be good enough. It's a little out of our budget for some reason. I guess it just hasn't been printed in a little while. Magic 13 was the last time. So let's see if we can find some replacements. Ideally, we want them to not be creatures, as we kind of talked about. I know Rising of the Day is one, so we'll click that in a minute. But let's just do Giz Haste first and see how many cards that gives us. Excuse me. Take another drink. I haven't taken a drink in a little while. Cheers. Thank you all for bearing with me. We're making pretty good time here, actually. Like I said, I was shooting for 2 hours, which is way, way faster than I usually build decks. I usually mull it over for a little while and slowly cut cards. But we're making good time here. We probably won't be done in exactly 2 hours, but we'll be pretty close. So I won't keep you all too long. All right. Let's see. Bitter Reunion's an interesting one. We don't use our graveyard a whole lot. Is Battle Mage's Bracers budget? It is not. This one would be okay because it can double our activated abilities, right? But they're usually kind of small potatoes to be like moving this thing around a lot. What we're kind of trying to do is kind of trying to stay under the radar for the most part and kind of reach a critical mass and be a big threat all of a sudden. So that's kind of what we're shooting for. Bitter Reunion, this one gives you kind of a one-shot of all things get haste, which is like okay, and it at least kind of cantrips itself, but it's not really the effect that I think is going to be good. Because like I said, I'm deathly worried of board wipes. So with this deck, we're very, very vulnerable to board wipes. So I really want something that will stick around and be really sticky to the board, specifically an enchantment or an artifact that's not a creature. So that way it will reliably live. Break Through the Line is one that could work. It's 2 red. It's a red and 1 for an enchantment, and you can pay a red. Target creature with power 2 or less gains haste and can't be blocked this turn. As you can probably tell, almost all the creatures in our deck fall into this category. So I think Break Through the Line makes sense. That seems like, even though we have to invest an extra mana into our dudes, it could be worth running. We'll see how many of these we end up with. I have a feeling it's not going to be very many. We're going to get to Seize the Day in a bit. Hey, Parker, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us. We're getting pretty close to making the cuts in the deck here. I have a pretty decent pile of cards. So we're getting pretty close. We're basically a low-to-the-ground pingers deck where we duplicate a lot of our pingers with our commander. So we're kind of like a weird Boros burn deck. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. I'll kind of go over the deck here in a little bit after I make some more cuts too. Crimson Mage kind of does the trick, but once again, I want the effect to be pretty sticky. So we'll pass on Crimson Mage. Let's see what else we got. We should be getting to Seize the Day here shortly. Dowsing Device. This card is extremely good. If you're playing a red artifact deck, please start putting this card in your deck. It just flips instantly, and it just is like a free sick mana sick land. But we're not an artifact deck. Just wanted to throw that out there. PSA. Emblem of the Warmind's pretty funny. This is a card I've had sitting around in my like deck buildings stuff for a while. It's 1 and a red for an enchantment aura, and it enchants a creature you control, and it gives creatures you control haste. So it's a fervor for 1 less mana, but then you attach it for a creature. So if your creature dies, you don't have haste anymore. So it gets rid of all the upside on fervor, which is just hilarious. This card is hilarious, but love Future Sight Borders. This card's not very good. Don't play it. What else we got? First Day of Class. I don't really want the one-shot effect. Looks like it's probably just going to be just Seize the Day and the... oh, yeah, we do a Footfall Crater. That one's a little helpful. It's a little consistent. Gimli's Reckless Might is interesting. I did forget about this one. It's 4 mana enchantment. Creatures you control have haste. More mana than Fervor. But it has Formidable. Whenever you attack, if creatures you control have total power 8 or greater, target attacking creature you control fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. I think this card's actually pretty nice, but as I've said many times, we're not exactly an attack deck. We're playing a lot more on the on the PN train. We're going to tap things to deal direct damage. We're not really trying to deal with combat a whole lot, so not really for us. Grim Reaper Sprint. This card's fucked up. If you guys haven't read this card, Jesus, you're lucky. Hammer of Perforos. This one would do if it was in budget, but it's not quite. Let me pull it up on TCG Player, actually. Let me make sure this price is up to date. You never know. 85 cents. Okay, let's see what EDH Rec puts it at. That'll be kind of my determining factor. I'll split the difference. I'll go with what it says. Yeah, $1.77. That's going to be a bit much for us. Bummer. I really can't afford any cards over $1 besides the few that we have because we're already stretching the budget because we really need the win conditions to be what they are. So I really can't stretch it for effects like this. They're not really required anyway. Creatures you control have haste that attack each combat available. Wow, that's terrible. This Hellspur Posse Boss is probably going to get cut. It's already one on my. I already have my eye on that one, I should say. Insurrection Lamau. Yeah, nothing else here is catching my eye. I'm trying to spare you guys some of your time at least. Spend a lot of time on the EDHREC side of things because I think that's probably the best tool that you guys at home can use. It's more of a little bit more of a deep dive if you're trying to really like stretch your deck the extra mile and find unique cards and really squeeze into a certain budget. But I typically highly recommend people to play with a lot of the cards that they already have and try to fill similar roles with the cards they have with the cards that are ideal for their deck, unless something's like like super important to the deck. Even so, I would at least like look at the card and see if it's worth the money. Like long term, if you take this deck apart, are you gonna be playing this card again and such in another deck? Then maybe you can invest into it. But I'm all for sustainability and like making sure your dollar goes further. Okay, Ogre Battle Driver. Okay, this one I could get behind. Ooh, this one's in budget. Ogre Battle Driver. This card's a beast. It's 2 red. Oh yeah, we're not really the tax deck though. It's 2 red. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, that creature gets +2/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. This card's a beast. People don't play this card. This card's scary. Not really for this deck exactly, but do be aware of that card. If you're like in a combat attack space deck, Ogre Battle Driver can fuck some people up for sure. Is this per Frozen budget? Nope. I just assumed that all gods are at least a couple bucks now. Reckless Stormseeker. This one's a creature, though. It just gives 1 creature haste. Okay, we're finally to Rising of the Day. This one is definitely going to make the cut. This is exactly what we want. This is just Fervor with upside, but this one's just been printed more recently. Excuse me. It's 2 in a red for an enchantment. Creatures you control have haste, and legendary creatures you control get +1/+0. This text is completely irrelevant for us, but it's basically just Fervor that we can actually play. So Rising of the Day is going to make the cut. For sure. That's definitely the one that's going to stay. Because I definitely want a few of that effect. That's probably going to be the only other one that we add, but I just want to finish looking through this for posterity's sake or whatever the fuck. I don't know words. I'm just a guy. None of this interests me. I would expect that most of you would read these cards, but I know what most of these do because I'm deranged and have. Oh wait, can we fit this Urbrask? This was kind of important to me actually. It says it's under $1. So one small thing with this Urbrask, this Urbrask is genuinely scary. This card's actually really good because it makes your opponent's creatures so slow against your haste creatures by entering tapped and everything. Like this Urbrask is actually kind of scary. I don't know if you've played against this card recently, but this card's kind of scary. But importantly, this is actually I'm gonna take you way back to when we put Realmbreaker the Invasion Tree on our deck. This could actually get this Urbrask into play if for some reason we're really desperate. When I was talking about that card earlier and said we may actually be able to fit one into our deck, that's what I was talking about. I was considering this card. Let's see what Moxfield says. I still can't spell. Nice. It's literally on my fucking screen, dude. I just can't even. Urbrask the Hidden. It says 83 cents. Ooh, that's a little tough. Mine's doing 60 cents. Oh, it's probably that because I have that version. All right, chat, quick. Somebody tell me, is there a way to just automatically change every card in your list to be the cheapest version? Somebody know? Because I really don't want to go around and click on a bunch of cards and make it the cheapest version. Because some of these I have is like my favorite version of cards I play a lot or whatever. So, chat, help me out here. I'm kind of an idiot. Darker Valkyrie is at 95 cents. That one might not make the cut then. Okay. Okay, that's the last thing I wanted to do. Okay, we have a game plan. Okay, what does this one do? Gain haste, make a devil. This card. I don't even think I want this card. Is this card in budget? Okay, don't have to worry about it. Okay. So we've definitely got what we want. Okay. So what we did was we first started with EDH rec. We got a bunch of cards that that the aggregate plays that a lot of people have found good for their lists and that have built out of the initial lists. The ones that we couldn't afford, the ones that were out of budget, we found replacements for, whether that was protection creatures like Mother of Runes, damage amplifiers, all that sort of stuff. We all have a good idea of some cards that could help us out with our strategy, with the thing that we want to do. And we use Scryfall to help us find those good replacements and such. So let's see where we landed. We landed with 118 cards. That's a lot less than I normally end up with. Because usually when I go into a deck and build, I already have kind of an idea and a game plan of what I want to build. This is assuming you just like it. This kind of deck building template that I'm kind of going off of is just mostly assuming that you have a commander that you like, and that you want to, hey, this card's cool. I opened it in a pack. How do I build a deck around it? And I'm here to try to give you a cheap version of that deck that can get you off the ground and give you a good feel for the deck and see if you actually like it before investing and spending like your $20 on your like card that only goes in this one deck or whatever, which is not really sustainable. All right, so let's start. So our game plan is we want to have our commander in play. We want to use a lot of burn effects that ping our opponents or ping our opponents' creatures that then get doubled with our commander. And we can have extra things that might amplify our damage to make those effects, those pinging effects really add up, such as like Jaya and those sort of things. We have some haste enablers to help us activate those effects more reliably. And then we have some generally good stuff. We have some mana ramp in here. I didn't add my Hedron Archive. Okay. And we have some mana ramp in here. Some extra card draw and smoothing and stuff like this. So now we need to cut some things. And this is where it kind of gets a little... this is where you're going to want to do a lot of like kind of practicing and testing. Because there's no set thing when you kind of go into this of, okay, this is how much of X card I need and how much of Y card I need to make these two things kind of work together. This is a lot more about feel and testing. And that's kind of where I'm going to use a little bit of my expertise here and try to help narrow this down a little bit and make sure we got enough things going on. And I don't really like giving out numbered templates like you need 30 pieces of ramp and you need 100 removal spells and 60 card draw or whatever. I don't really like doing that because it always just matters on, to me, it always matters on context, like what your curve looks like, where are you trying to hit these breakpoints. There's always a push and pull in Magic of when do I need to like try to, accrue some of my value back, and when do I need to build to the board to put the pressure on to sort of close this game and win. So that's kind of a little bit dicey in terms of what I recommend to you. So I'm going to try to give you a sort of a balanced approach here that will hopefully cater to a wider range of players because it matters on player strength and player ability a lot on what you can sort of do with builds. So definitely the cards that I cut from this list, definitely keep them in mind and consider flexing cards around. Like if you find that you have too much of this effect and you're not getting enough card draw or not getting enough ramp or not getting enough board protection or not getting enough haste or whatever. And make sure you play a decent number of games, like 10 plus games before you start making tons of changes. A change here or there, like one or two cards after a game or two, after you've had the card in your hand and played it once or twice, and you're like, it's just early, hasn't played out in the games. Then maybe consider swapping. But okay, caveats out of the way. Let's start working on this deck. All right, so I have a feeling that we're not going to be able to cut any of these damage amplifiers because we only have like 3 in the deck. And I'm not really going to play around with the Scryfall tagger here. This is a really good thing to use when you're building decks if you really like seeing things in categories to help you really actually see the counts of things. Like I could tag these as like, let's see, where's the tag? I have this bright light in my face and it's very distracting. God damn it, Blake. Why is that when we're on stream we do this, huh? surely here, right? Change tags. There it is. Okay, I'm just an idiot. Okay, so let's say a Dark Art Valerie is, we could say recursion, or we could say card advantage. Card advantage. Thank you. I can spell. So now she goes into her own section of card advantage here. So if you really like seeing like certain things and numbers, like I really want to have 3 win conditions that are dedicated win conditions, then you can, help tag these things. And it really doesn't take that long to do because you can even like drag and drop them into your categories as you make them. But I'm not going to do that too much here. I do a lot more things by feel. And we're kind of already getting on the where I'd like to end by. So I don't want to take up too much of your time. I can kind of glance through this pretty quickly and get a good idea what we got anyway. I like Angelic Spell Sword. This is a good threat. Draws us cards consistently. A Dark Art Valkyrie. This one is probably going to get the axe, unfortunately. This is a pretty powerful card with our commander, but it's just pretty slow. If we have a haste enabler out, it's pretty strong, but I need to cut cards that are on the upper echelon of the budget too anyway. So cutting a dollar card feels pretty good. Let's see what else we got. Benevolent Bodyguard definitely stays. Batting Agent might get the axe. I'll keep an eye on that one. It's removal, though, that gets rid of commanders, which can be problematic sometimes. Bloodlust Insider. This effect is nice for the mana cost. It's just really, really efficient. But like I said, I'm kind of worried about being able to actually retain, making our cards that we play actually matter and worth the card that we play. And I don't think that this one's going to do it. I don't think giving the random 1-off or maybe 2-off pingers haste, because it's probably rare that we're going to be able to double spell with pingers and our commander out and need to give them both haste and whatever. Plus, if we ever draw this card, like past turn 5, it's just like the worst ever, right? So I'm just not in for this card. I'm going to move this to the sideboard as well. Brash Taunter is definitely going to stay. That one's quite good. Brian Stout Arm. Oh, I never really added board wipes to this deck. I might have to add a board, maybe 2 board wipes. We'll get to that in a minute. I'll just add one to start. Fell the Mighty is one that comes to mind. This one's is very cheap. It's typically not very good. It's 5 mana. You destroy all creatures with power greater than target creature's power. As you can tell, almost all of our creatures have very low power. It's 1 or 2, with the rare exception, including our commander. So Fell the Mighty, even though it's a little risky because you have to, you have to target a creature, and then if they kill the creature, then your board wipe doesn't work. But as we're a board focused deck, we really don't want to. The few board wipes that we do include, if we do include any, we really don't want to wreck us. So I think this might be a good include for Fell the Mighty. Plus, that's really cheap. Brian Stout Arm, I would like to keep. He's a pretty good dude to copy the ability of, because you don't have to sacrifice a creature twice. The sacrifice is part of the cost, so the damage is just the only thing that's going to get doubled. So that's one of the few ways that we can gain life. Plus, it chunks pretty good. It also pairs really well with the next card, Captivating Crew. We can steal their shit and throw it at them, which is hilarious. So that seems like a really good wombo combo. Cathar Commando, I just like lots of pingers. Okay, here I'll do y'all one tagger here thing. Let's enable tags. Let's just do a tagger for pinger and just see how many we ended up with. I'm gonna put Brash Taunter in that category too. Pinger. All right, where are you, pinger? Where is it? Okay, they put it up here at the top. Thank God. Sometimes it goes down to the bottom, like you saw the last one, and that shit is just annoying. So I'll put Brian Stat Arm, even though he's a big pinger. This guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. Seagull Deliverance is probably not going to make the cut. I'm just going to go ahead and cut Edmure now. This guy. Oh, I didn't see this art. That's pretty cool art, actually. I'd never seen that Fire Slinger art before. That's a damage amplifier. This is. I'm gonna put this in. I'm gonna put this in the pinger category. That one's a little iffy. Obviously, it's not like directly a pinger. This guy's probably gonna get cut. I don't think we ended up with Zerker Soldier. Yeah, we didn't end up with that. Even though this guy is like kind of like not terrible. Like he makes 2 mercenaries immediately, and they can immediately start doing the thing. I might keep Hellspur Boss. I'll wait on that. I'm getting ahead of myself, I know. I guess big pinger. I really want to keep Otharion if I can. That card seems like a house. This guy's a pinger, technically. Solemn's not going to make the cut. This card's not going to make the cut. Or I can already tell you that. This guy's a pinger. He might not make the cut. Actually, this one works pretty good with the mercenaries that we have lying around. Yeah, I'll probably keep Spike Shot Goblin. I like that. Oh, I forgot about Tyrell Keen. That's pretty hot. This thing's technically a pinger. This thing's a pinger. Okay, we're going to end up with over 20 pingers. That feels like a pretty good number. I like that. 19. Okay, I lied. One short. Is there another random pinger I have lying around? God, I hate this art. This Touch the Spirit Realm's not going to make the cut. I already know that. Seal of Cleansing might not either, but I'm going to keep it for now. Oh, yeah, these things are pingers, right? Yeah. This is a pinger. Do we end up with 20 exactly, Lamau? Lamau. We ended up with 20 exactly. Okay. I'm pretty happy with this number. 20 feels like a good number here. That's kind of a number where it feels like you're enough into a strategy that you'll have at least a couple of them efficiently, as long as you have a decent number of card draw, which we don't have a ton of, but I think we'll have enough. All right, I'll keep using the tags because this will be a helpful tool for you guys to use. So I should be a good host and streamer and helpful guide and actually use this thing too. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the damage amplifiers. I'm not going to tag these mana accelerants. So let's do, I think we have like 5 of these. Amplifiers is what I'm going to call these. None of those. I'm going to cut the Zerta. I already know that. Let's move this to sideboard. We didn't end up in a Zerta deck. This one's a pinger too. Pinger. Just a big pinger. Where are we at? This guy. Where did my category go? Where are you? There you are. God damn it, I put it all the way down here. Thanks, I hate it. This guy's an amplifier. None of this one's an amplifier. Torbrain's an amplifier. Did I hit it on the head? Did we end up with 5? God, I'm so fucking smart. How does he do it, chat? Oh, no, we end up with 6. He's a liar. Expose him. Parker, I don't know if you're still here, but I'm just going to go back over this card again. And if anybody missed it earlier, this card's so fucking funny. Equal treatment. It's a 1 and a white for an instant. If any source would deal 1 or more damage this turn to a creature or player, it deals 2 to that creature or player instead, and then you draw a card. So all of our pings for 1 all of a sudden just turn into 2, and we cantrip. It's just so fucking funny. Normally this is supposed to get used as like a fog or something, but we're going to use it as an amplifier. It's so stupid. What is wrong with me? Okay. So we have 6 amplifiers. Let's see haste enablers. I think we ended up with like 4, maybe 3. Change tags. Haste. I'm just going to leave it as haste. Footfall Crater and Break Through the Line or haste. We had Urbrask somewhere. Where are you? Down here. Haste. We have one more? We had one more, right? I'm not going to count Captivating Crew. That doesn't count. This thing, I'm not going to count that thing. Do I even want this thing? It makes a bunch of dudes, and it can like amplify like power on things. For that sometimes matters. Man, 4 mana for this thing though. I feel like this card probably does enough, especially with our commander out. Like it could pump a creature's power by 4 out of nowhere. And we may have a few other random outlaws that I didn't look that closely at anyway. Shamans, warriors, wizards. Yeah, not really. I don't know. It might end up getting cut, but we'll wait. Okay, anyway, haste enablers. Did I get them all? I think I might have. Jaxus doesn't really count, but okay, I think that's it. Chat, you see any more? I think we got them all. Oh, there's like one random land. I'm not going to move it over there. My Slayer Stronghold, I'm not going to move that over there. It seems Formaposi's getting cut. I'm not really feeling this card. Okay. Anything else we want to do? So far, these numbers seem good. I like my 21 pingers. 6 amplifiers seems like a decent number because we don't want very many of these because like if we have no pingers and when we draw these amplifiers, they don't do anything, obviously. So I'm kind of in for this number. 4 haste enablers feels good. I could maybe even get away with cutting one, like break through the lines, probably not quite good enough. Urbrass could get cut for budget reasons, though. So we'll see on that one. But 4 haste enablers, I could see going 3. That feels like an okay number to start with. What else? Okay, let's take off tags again. Let's go back to normal view. This is what I usually look at. All right, so let's see if we have any cheaper versions of these. 22, thank you. Not going to worry about these. Felwar Stone, this has definitely has a cheaper printing. 55, yep. This Mind Stone probably has a cheaper printing. Yep. Sorry, these are just the preferred versions that I have, and unfortunately I couldn't... oh, it only has that 85 cents here. Huge. Stone of Eric. None of these I have different versions of. Torbrand. Oh, man, I really don't want to have to cut Ethereum, but these multiple dollar cards are going to kill us. They're definitely going to kill us. Our mana base looks really good price-wise, though. I mean, realistically, you could shave $1 off this list because of the basics, assuming you could get those for free. Feel like we have enough dual lands here to feel pretty good about it. There's definitely a cheaper version of this. Same thing with this. Not by a lot, but we'll take what we can get. 15, 12. Trying to get as accurate of a price as I can. Okay, we have to cut 12 more. Let's start there. I'm not really feeling this Intrepid hero. This one really wants haste, and even when it gets haste, it doesn't really always kill what you want. But I mean, I could see running it, but I don't think it's good enough. It doesn't seem like it does enough. Magda feels pretty good. How much mana rank do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then there's like a random... let's cut some of these mana rocks and put in dudes that can mana ramp us. I probably can get off Hedron Archive now. I still like Bounty Board. I'm willing to give that one a shot. That one seems good for what we're doing. All right, let's get off of the Hedron Archive. I feel like let's get off of still like Savine's Reclamation. That's not going to get cut ever. What else are we feeling? I don't really want to cut any pingers. Our pinger count feels good. The Eagle can go, I think. I'm not feeling it anymore. Not feeling it anymore after looking at this list for a bit. We're getting close on time. I'm going to try to wrap up here, but I need to get this budget down a decent amount still. So this Ortharian's probably not going to make the cut strictly on budget. I can live without that, though. 9 mana and tap it to create 5 tokens that are a copy of a thing is like pretty... We're pretty far in the game at that point. We'd need a lot of ramp, and we still need a board and 9 mana, and this guy out, not summoning 6. So I'm fine with it. I've come to terms with it. As much as I think that card is cool, and this seems like a perfect deck for it. Not for this budget build. I'll get over it. All right. White Plume Adventure. I did say we're not a combat deck, so if somebody takes the initiative from us, it's going to be kind of hard to get back. I don't think we have benefit enough from this. This card's so generically powerful, you could just keep it, but it doesn't really fit the theme of the deck, so I'm okay with cutting it here. It's just a very good generic value card. Let's see what else we got. What else are we looking at? I think I can get rid of some of this interaction. As I've previously said, though, I like the flexibility interaction spells like Generous Gift, so I could see getting rid of Path. I know some people are going to be mad at me for that, but I'm not as crazy on like hyper efficient removal, especially in budget decks. I'd rather be willing to spend the extra mana and just take my time and make sure I can get rid of what I need to get rid of. And just in general, I know single target removal is a bit better when it's a bit cheaper now with Ward running around everywhere, but I think we're just gonna have to suck it up when it comes to Ward, at least for this deck. We're gonna have to live with like tapping the thing with Giant Killer, or hopefully just killing that player if the Ward thing is actually a problem. What else we were looking at? I still need 6 more cards, and then I still have to work on the budget a bit. Oh, Mishra's Bauble is pretty sick for this deck, but can I afford to keep it? I think I have to. I think it's just good. I like Kilda's Crown. Chaos One's pretty good value. What about this Spell Bomb? Maybe I'm not as in on this Spell Bomb. The floor is so low on this. I think I'm in for it. Let's go ahead and cut. Let's go ahead and cut Break Through the Line. I'll go ahead and remove that as one of my haste enablers now. Not really feeling it. I hate that being my justification for getting rid of cards because it's not as replicable from you, the listener, as to why. I'll try to give the reasons where I can, outside of just feel. Like I said, I 3 haste enablers I can live with, which is what I currently have after cutting that one. But I may have to cut Herbrask for budget reasons anyway. So it's a little tough. All right, let's start looking at prices of cards that help decide what we're getting rid of. So obviously the standout ones are Torbrand and Fury Stoke Giants. Can I live without Fury Stoke Giant? Oh man, that's hard. This card seems just so sick for what we're going to do. Turns all of our regular pingers into huge pingers. Ooh, we don't really have sack outlets to like reliably persist when we want to, which is kind of a bummer. There's some like corner cases where we could like Generous Gift our own Fury Stoke Giant to get the persist trigger. So like that's not nothing. Yeah, this is where it gets to the hard part for sure. Can I live without Fury Stoke Giant? I might like just have to for budget reasons. Is there a cheaper version of Benevolent Bodyguard? No, I guess not. Wow. Okay. Didn't realize anybody hardly knew this card existed outside of like recent vintage Q players. All right, let's look back at prices. Mishra's Bauble may have to go for budget reasons. This Cryon Negotiations, this one can go. It is a pinger, but it's a lot of our dudes are already pingers. It's a tough one, isn't it? It definitely can do some stuff for sure, and it doesn't even care about haste. It just works as far as summoning sick or not. So it's definitely a nice one. All right, let me take a swig here real quick while I'm thinking. I think I might have to live without this Fury Stoke Giant. I don't think we'll be able to get the price down enough. All right. Salutes in chat. Furious Stoke Giants got to go. Sorry, buddy. We'll just have to rely on our damage amplification. So I'm going to try to keep this Torbran as much as I can. I don't know if I can make do with that either, but we're going to try. For sure. How am I feeling about running Realmbreaker the Invasion Tree? Milling your opponents can be pretty bad sometimes, for sure. It's definitely a nice one for this deck, though. It is. Gets us a lot of lands. Gets us a lot of lands. I also really don't want to cut this Mishra's Bauble. I don't have a ton of ways to bring it back either, though. Yeah, we might have to just cut it, too. We just really need to play some small ball and get really low to the ground because our deck looks like it does enough. Like, our deck definitely does stuff, for sure. It seems like we have enough inherent card draw. We have some just dedicated card draw cards. We have welcoming vampires and things to help us along. Plenty of other things. Sun Titans, Savine's Reclamations, this thing, Ty Joaquin, some of these mana rocks we can sack to draw cards. And they get doubled with our commanders. So I mean, like, we can definitely draw some cards, and we have some pingers and some damage amplifiers. So I think we need to focus on shaving things that are not on our main game plan as much and slim down in that area, hopefully. I think I'm gonna have to get this Torbran. $25 is gonna be really hard to hit with this Torbran. This generous gift might have to go. What else do we have that's over 50 cents? Cinder Pyromancer. Yeah, this one's a little tough on the budget for just being a pinger. It's not like so much insanely better than a lot of these other cards either. Luckily, Yes Man and whatever the stupid other dude is you have to give away. At least they're not like insanely priced or anything. This guy, Humble Defector, they're really cheap. So, but I am really worried about running out of cards, as I've said. So, all right, let's cut the Mishra's Bauble. We have enough going on. Move to sideboard. Where are we at? We need to cut at least 2 more cards just to get down to 100. And then we can look at budget stuff. I love budget stuff. What did he say? All right, maybe we shake the Cinder Pyromancer. It's a bit pricey for the effect. We'll shake him out of here. I like this Magda still, if I can keep it. I think Airbrass gonna have to go. Yeah, let's get rid of Airbrass because we cut the tree as well. Not that that's like really that big of a deal, but for the reason why we would keep it, but it is funny. So break through the line was only 25 cents. So let's put it back. There's another haste enabler. Even though we may not even really need the haste enabler like that crazy. Like some of our pingers and stuff already have haste, but I'd really like to have like 3 just to help smooth our game out. Magda's 50 cents. Anything else we can cut here easily? Welcoming Vampire, definitely. I'm going to have to make that one happen. Still eyeing this Crying Negotiations, but $1 is pretty tough sell here at this point. Man, we're just not going to be able to make this budget happen with this Torbran in the deck. So let's move you to sideboard. I don't think I've cut in any other damage amplification yet, right? No. In a way, I could see this Forma Posse kind of being a damage amplifier. Wow, that's a stretch, Blake. Good one. How many mercenaries do I need to get from this Forma Posse to feel pretty good? Like 3, 4? So it's like a 5 or 6 mana spell. It goes pretty hard with like a haste enabler and any creature that can beat in. It goes pretty hard with Crying Negotiations, although that's probably going to get cut here in a second. Forma Posse is probably going to come back in. I'm going to put it back in for now. Let's go ahead and move Crying Negotiations to the sideboard. I would love to make that happen too. All right, we're getting close. We're at 100 cards. We're at 35 still. Oof. All right, the majority of our budget is falling into creatures, but that's because we have a bajillion creatures. This Magda might have to go. Man. Felwar Stone might have to go. Let's go and get rid of Felwar Stone. I'm going to add my Hedron Archive back in. We're getting there, chat. We're getting there. How did I just remove it? I didn't even put it in the sideboard. Oh, I didn't. I gave no respect to that Hedron Archive. I just trashed that bitch. Threw him in the trash. All right, where are we at? I have this Battlefield Forge. This is going to have to go. That's going to have to go. That gets us almost $1 back. Just going to refresh my page here real quick. This Magda's going to have to go. Let's move any of these catching my eye. Could move this Bloodlust Incinerator back in. Sure, I'll put Bloodlust Incinerator back in here. I cut 2 of my haste enablers. Is there like what's another mana rock we could crack for cards? I think the Stone Speaker Crystal is a bit too much for what we want. Oh no, it's only $7. Yeah, Stone Speaker Crystal back in here. This is the one that we were talking about earlier in comparison to Hedron Archive. This one cracks to draw a card and exiles any number of graveyards. So I definitely don't mind throwing this back in here. All right, what else do we got? It's a shame that you can't get any tutors in budget in these colors, right? Ember Maw Hellion, 41 cents. Benevolent Bodyguard's going to have to go, I think. Yeah, let's go back to Scryfall. Benevolent Bodyguard. Now the card, now I'm forgetting the name of that card. That 2 mana dude that you can sack to give your creatures protection from your opponents. I think I still have this thing pasted. Let's see. Let's see. This guy, Cliffside Recruiter. I don't think this card's worth anything. Let's see. I'm willing to give the thing a shot. Cliffside Recruiter, 11 cents. Nice. All right. This number is not going down enough, though. It's not going down enough. I feel like it's not... Oh, wait. Is this including the sideboard? Hold on. I think it is including the sideboard. If I move this to considering... It does include the sideboard. Oh, my gosh. Blake, you're an idiot. What's the Alt 4? Alt 4, not Control 4. God damn it, Blake. It was this thing the whole time. All right, I'm gonna be able to put some sweet ones back in here. Hold on, chat. Hold on. Oh, this deck's real again. Hold on. We're at $16 is what our deck actually is. I forgot it. Oh man, I should have did that earlier. My bad, chat. There's people yelling at me, I'm sure. All right. Let's get some real cards back in this deck. Hell yeah. Let's get Torbrain back in here. Okay, you just have to move him to considering and stop being an idiot. Let's get our Brask back in here. We want Mishra's Bobble. See, I knew like because I recently I've been building some $25 decks before this to like proof of concept, like obviously not on stream and stuff. And I knew when I was building it, like I had like some powerful cards. I had several cards that were like $1 and really close to $1. And I'm like, man, my cards are all like 50 cents and I'm at like $35. Is it not updating my prices? God, I hate myself. Okay, let's get all the good cards back in here. Yes, Fury Stoke Giant. Yes. Get in my deck. Oh, we're going to kill some people for sure. For sure. All right, sorry, chat. I'm sorry I'm wasting your time. We're almost done. I could have did this the right way, and then we would all went home and been happy. You're all already home. I know. Because I'm home too. I'm going to leave this Battlefield Forge here for now. And this crown. I want this crown negotiations back too. Okay, move to main deck. Okay, we're at $28, and there's definitely some cards I need to cut that I added. So this guy comes back out, considering... this guy comes back out. Otharian. I'm still not going to run Otharian, actually. I'm still not going to run Otharian. So we're basically at $25 already. Okay. So I just need to shave the cards that I took out already. Put them back in. So I might re-add Realm Breaker while I'm at it too. God, I'm so sorry, chat, for being an absolute idiot. I am going to move this back to consider. Speaker Crystal back to considering. Mishra. Oh man, I'm actually going to be able to get Mishra's Bobble on this deck too. God, this deck is sweet. God, I was about to start feeling bad for y'all for this deck I was offering you, but I knew I was missing something. I'm like, God damn it, my other $25 decks are so sick though. All right. I'm not actually an idiot. I am an idiot. Chat, we're almost there. Chat, we're doing it. I'm just a little over schedule, and I shouldn't have been. Nice. What about this Seal of Cleansing? Should I cut this? I'm just such a sucker for Seal of Cleansing. I just love it so much. Just love my Seal of Cleansing. What other two cards am I missing, chat? What did I add that I need to take back out? What did I add? I'm missing something. Hanged Executioner is kind of iffy, but I'm going to keep it for now. And am I going to keep Hanged Executioner? I think I keep... This card's just so mana intensive, it just doesn't really do much. It can randomly chip into like take a Monarch or Initiative or something. Copium. I'm going to keep it. I put a pinger back in here. What was the pinger? No, it's Cinder Pyromancer. I took that out. That's right. Okay. Okay, I'm almost there, chat. Hang on. Everybody hang on. Chill. Daddy, chill. Daddy, chill. Got the Seal of Cleansing. All right. So sorry, Seal of Cleansing. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. This Hedron Archive I had originally cut, right? Was the last thing I think I have here. God, this equal treatment is just doing it for me, man. I gotta tell you, this is just absolutely doing it for me. Yeah, I think we leave on the Hedron Archive. Okay, we're back to 100 cards. Oh, the Cinder Pyromancer is still in the board. So let's put it back in the main deck, and I need to cut one more. I just clicked the wrong thing. I'm down for 35 lands. It seems like a good number. Is it Bounty Agent? It might be Bounty Agent. Do I feel better about Bounty Agent, though, over Hanged Executioner? Ugh. Hanged Executioner is just like really... Just feels really sad. This card is like better than Hanged Executioner. I would rather play that. Damn, Jaxus is so sick in this deck. I love Jaxus. Selfless Savior. Is this card good? We're not really attacking a whole. This thing's 100 mana. I'm just cutting this thing. This thing's 100 mana. Okay, we're 60 cents under budget. I can upgrade like one of these lands to a Battlefield Forge. Let me just look through here and make sure I didn't forget anything that I really want to add. I'm still not on this Otharian. I could put the Benevolent Bodyguard back in instead of upgrading a land. Am I in for that? I think I am. Let me look at my duels here again real quick. Oh, I never even added the thing that cared about deserts or the Knight of the White Orchids. Oh, chat. Oh, chat. No. Okay, I'm going to add 2 more cards. Hold on. I'm going to just cut like a Mana Rock or something. Knight of the White Orchid. Let's get that in here. What is this desert card called? Yeah, that's not the right thing. Oh my god. I'm going to put a new card in here. Catch up. Surely it's under catch up. Do I still have this thing pasted? I do. I'm a fucking gamer. This card's sick. Claim Jumper's really sick. Over $1 still, though. Keeper of the Accord, I'm sure it's still over $1. Loyal Warhand I could make fit, but it's not as good as this one I'm about to add. Here it is. Sand Scout. This card's sweet. It's a 2-mana 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands, then you search your library for a desert card, put on the battlefield, tapped, and shuffle. Whenever one or more lands are put into a graveyard from anywhere, you create a 1/1 Sand Warrior. It triggers once a turn. So it's pretty sweet. Yeah, we have a few random utility lands. We have 2 desert lands. One of them being a duel. Where are we at? One of them being a duel. The Abraded Bluffs. One of them being a bounce land, so we can get card advantage off of it. And then we even have the Scavenger Grounds as Graveyard Hate if we really need to tutor that up. So this card is sweet. Sand Scout. Boom. All right, cut 2 cards real quick. And then we'll balance our basics to be the proper colors. And then we'll call it there. All right, back to where we were. All right, let's cut the Hanged Executioner now. Yeah. We have a few catch-all removal spells and some other stuff that can kill big idiots, so we don't have to actually spend 100 mana. So I need to move that to considering. And let's cut... I like all my artifacts, enchantments. Nope. None of those are cuttable. Am I in for Selfless Savior? What about this guy? Cabal's nice. 3 damage is a lot. He's so fragile. Am I playing Kamal? Am I playing Kamal? No. No, I don't think I am. Nope, that's the wrong section. Okay. One more, because I thought of one more. Mentor of the Meek. I want to get a little bit more consistent card draw in here. And since all our creatures are tiny idiots, it seems like a great Mentor of the Meek deck. So one more. I just keep leaving y'all hanging. Y'all think you're just about to get out of here. Just about to get out of here. And then I pull you right back in. You ain't going nowhere. Yeah, I don't think I can cut another Mana Rock. I think I'm pretty chill on Mana Rocks. How do I feel about this Hilda's Crown of Winter? You can draw some bajillion cards, though. I think it's nice to have a few mass card draw effects in your deck. Cards that draw you like 3+ cards, or even 2+ cards. And this definitely fulfills that role really easily in our deck. And we can even bring it back with Sabine's Reclamation. So, it's my shameless plug for Sabine's Reclamation. I just need like one more, just like generically not exciting card. Giant Killer could go, but I'm pretty in for it. It could be Hellspur Boss. It's when in doubt, you cut the thing with that costs 1 mana. So yeah, let's just cut Hellspur Boss. I've been kind of iffy on it the entire time. Okay, last thing we do, let's scroll down here to the bottom. We're definitely more heavy red, 51% to 34%. So I'm just going to shave a few planes off for mountains. We don't have a ton of duels, so I don't want to like go super low, but I'm going to shave 3 off. That seems like a good number. I'm just going to go 814. So I'm going to remove more, not add more. I'm just going to remove 1, and remove 1. Then let's add 3. Oh, it already had there for me. Boom. Okay, chat. We did it. We built $25 Ertha Joe, and this deck seems sick. Seems fucking sick. Lots of pingers, lots of card draw, so we don't run out of things to do. We have huge swings and damage amplifiers, a little bit of haste enabling, mana ramp, you name it. We got it. We're big chillin'. And our curve is actually pretty nice. We're very heavily in the 2 to 3 range. We have a few more 4s and 5s than I normally run, but that's kind of the state of playing budget. Usually you have to run a few more haymakers and hope those kind of get you there. But average mana value, 2.8. That's really nice. That's really nice. I can live with that. Okay. So that's $25 Ertha Joe. Hope you guys liked what you saw. I would normally here at the end try to give you a few not budget suggestions to upgrade this deck specifically. But I think you've got an idea of so far of what we've talked about of this, what I would suggest here. And I don't want to keep you all any longer since I went a little over with some of my mistakes. So really appreciate y'all staying around. Like I said, if you'd like to be a member of the community and be more involved and see when I go live, feel free to jump down in the description. I have my Discord, or you subscribe to the channel, and I'll keep you all updated. I had a great time. Hope you did too. Thank you all so much. Peace out and cheers.